Good evening and welcome, everybody. This is the April 3rd meeting work session for the city of Newberg City Council. I declare this meeting open. And so can we do a roll call?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Councillor McBride.
Here.
Councillor Wheatley. Here. Councillor Yarnell Holloman. Here. Councillor Kilberg.
Here.
Mayor Rosacker.
Here.
Councillor Olson. Here. Councillor Carmen.
Here.
Thanks, Derek. All present, duly noted.
Welcome, everybody. We have a fairly serious and happy and sad occasion. We're going to dedicate this room today to former councilor Denise Bacon. As you can see, for the rest of her term, we're going to leave her name tag here at the table with the rest of us so that we can keep her at the top of our mind. And I believe that Chief Kosmicki is going to make the presentation.
Yeah, City Manager will going to start off.
So I think what would be best is if everybody would like to join me over here by the wall. Thank you. Denise would have wanted us to do the Pledge of Allegiance first. And so let's do that. The Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, nice.
So I was very inspired by what I saw when the chief had designed this. And it had really captured, in my opinion, a certain look that she would have in her face, sort of a knowing look, when she probably knew that you might be thinking the wrong thing or you might not be saying the right thing, but she wouldn't correct you publicly, but she might look at you a certain way. And I'm sure we've all at one time or another been subject to a smile like that or had that thought. It's my hope that the people who share this space with us will receive some wisdom from knowing that she's watching the deliberations that occur here. And it's my hope that the people who are here can be inspired to act civilly, as a team, and always in the best interests of this city when they take part in the deliberations here for the good of this town. And that's really all that I wanted to say. So I'd like to open the floor. If anyone else would like to say a few words, this would be mostly well received, I would say, if you'd like to.
I'm glad everyone showed up. This dedication. She served 14 years as a city council. She's a really good friend, mom, wife. She's someone you can confide in. That smile, I've seen that probably 1,000 times, and it's you're full of crap. It's I love you. She's laughing. I mean that's just her art. You know, everything that was Denise. I thought that was a great picture of her. Of course, we put it together with Chris gave the final say on the photo and everything that we put on there. She was the president of our foundation. Like I said, she was in the city for 14 years. She started our foundation. I bet you she probably put in a couple, 2,000 to 3,000 hours. So that's like full-time employment for 2 or 3 years. And she did it out of love. I had a lot of conversations with her. She didn't start out trusting the police department. She wanted to figure out why we were the biggest, she would tell everyone why, we're the biggest, user of general fund money. And throughout the years, I think we proved to her why, and she truly loved everyone here. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
She's missed.
Yes.
Of course.
Every day.
We are so sorry for your loss.
Will say that I really miss her just steadfastness, and I like what you said, and like never publicly correcting someone. But having a conversation with you after a meeting or before a meeting, there's been a lot of time in the last few months that I just.
Gosh, me too.
How many of you have got to dial her phone number?
I think it's very fitting to be dedicate this room to her.
I agree. Let's keep this in mind because it's too often that people forget. Mayor.
I didn't have the opportunity to know her well, since just getting to know each other. But the impact that she has on everybody in this room, that is compared to, she was something that. People.
I'll tell you what she told me. She said, if the liberals are mad at you and the conservatives are mad at you, you're doing the job right. And it seemed to me
Not go along with this, actually.
if you walked the middle road, she mostly cared about people, not isms. And if we stick to that, we're probably doing some good work.
Well, thank you all. I know she'd want us to crack on.
I was just about to say, if you don't have tears in your eyes right now, you probably should consider your position in this world. Thank you. So tonight, we have a presentation from the Traffic Safety Commission. And that's going to be Karen.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. So tonight I just have a brief presentation on the Traffic Safety Commission. This is a commission that is, the engineering department is the stated staff liaison, but we work very closely with NDPD, specifically Brian Hagan at this point has been assigned to the Traffic Safety Commission to work with us. So next slide. So the purpose of the commission is to promote traffic safety. This is actually comes right out of the municipal code through this investigation, study, and analysis of traffic safety programs, conducting educational efforts, and to consider all traffic safety programs which are referred to them for recommendation by the city council, and then make reports back to the city council on matters of traffic safety and traffic safety programs. Next slide. I apologize that link is tough to see there, but there's a couple of links on this page. One to the Traffic Safety Commission webpage on the city webpage. There's also an email address, and people can also get information or report traffic safety problems through C-Click-Fix. I know we talked about that at a couple of meetings ago. But there's a couple of ways to get information to us and concerns to us. And then what happens is that staff will evaluate it and then bring it to the Traffic Safety Commission if there are policies that don't apply to whatever their request is. What I will tell you is that probably 95% of the requests that we get are about parking. Whether it's parking too close to intersections, driveways, people complaining about parking, their neighbors parking, again, 95% of it is parking is the complaints that we get. And then coming in second is the need for stop signs and or speed humps. So next slide, please. So here are the commissioners that are currently serving on the Traffic Safety Commission. I believe you will be hopefully appointing a student commissioner tonight. I think it's on the agenda, so hopefully we'll have a full house at that point. There are 10 people on that commission. And then the meetings are held quarterly, the second Monday of the month at 7 p.m. here in this room. The next meeting is next week, April 10th, and then July 10th, and then October 9th. The commission can have additional meetings if they need to, if they have enough things to talk about that they want to meet more often than that. But those are there are 4 meetings that are required per the municipal code. Next slide. So it was it, short and sweet. Questions? I believe Counselor McBride is our liaison.
Sorry. Gosh, I normally don't do that. Yeah, I reached out to him and asked if he could send me the packet as soon as it's ready. So I plan on being at the meeting next week.
So do they have, I know one of the items on our master plan is a new traffic light. There's actually several of them. Do they have a hand in deciding where those go?
They did participate when we did the transportation system plan 5 years ago now. Actually, I think it was maybe more than that. Anyway, when we did the transportation system plan in 2016, they did review that plan. And one of the members of the Traffic Safety Commission was on the Citizen Advisory Committee. And then they do have its say also in what other projects maybe are a priority. They are ones that have heard for years about the intersection of Illinois Main Street and 240, and have really pushed us to look at what the options are. They've evaluated options many times over the years. So this is again where we're going to go and really ask the neighbors what they think, the people that use that intersection all the time, and really try to come up with a plan that we can all live with. There's no construction dollars at this point, but starting with that initial plan to determine what we think is going to solve the problem out there. But they are one of the ones that has pushed for us to really look at that intersection closely.
Bill? When it comes to traffic safety and 99 or other ODOT roads, how do they interface or help with that? Because I know we don't have say on that, but
The Traffic Safety Commission doesn't have a whole lot of say, although we have met with, as a commission, they have met with the folks from ODOT. Normally, when a complaint comes in, a traffic safety complaint on ODOT roadways, we forward that on to ODOT. We also ask the citizen to reach out to ODOT directly, because a lot of times they will respond to them quicker than they'll respond to us. And then we try to make sure we follow up, and let the citizen know that we've reached out and whatever information we get back from ODOT. And then we have had conversations with ODOT again. The other intersection that comes up all the time is Sheridan and College Street. And again, we did have a conversation with ODOT, and they're more than willing to come to the table to talk about options and where do we go from here. And they have already started to be engaged on the Highway 240 Main Street, Illinois, because they will have a say in that, because that is their roadway also.
so is pedestrian safety in their jurisdiction, or is that somebody else?
Sometimes it depends on what you mean by pedestrian safety.
Well, I was thinking the intersection of First and College, that crosswalk there on the east side is a near miss a day kind of thing.
They
But-
have looked at that multiple times.
So it is within there,
Yes,
but it's ODOT.
correct.
It seems to me personally that the most likely place for us to want to consider it traffic is also on a state highway. It would be Highway 219 at Everest. Yeah. How do you, where are we looking there?
So that one has again been on our list for a long time. We, as part of phase one of the bypass, when they came through, one of the requirements in the IGA was that they would evaluate that intersection to determine whether or not a signal was warranted, and then they would install that traffic signal. When they looked at it just prior to COVID, the counts did not show it needed a traffic signal. It's on my list to ask them to recount now that the traffic after COVID has come back. But yeah, they would be the ones to make that determination that a signal could be in. And again, they know it's on our list. And I probably email them at least twice a year, if not more often than that, about it. Hey, so where are you at with that traffic signal? So yeah, it's on my list to make that email again about asking them to rerun counts now that traffic is back to what it was pre-pandemic.
I'd also like to, I mean, I don't know how they just make those decisions. If that location wasn't good, they could go down onto Second and 219 by the airport, by the top of the runway. We got that snake installed that could be removed in a four-way intersection, and it would still alleviate traffic in that south area.
Yeah, we actually brought that up before they put the median in. The problem they have is to install a traffic signal there, it interferes with the runway and the FAA stuff. So there's certain height requirements around the airport for that. So yeah, we actually did bring that up, Mayor. Good point. You know, we're like, wait a minute, rather than putting this median in, how about we put a signal in? So.
If nobody, Mike, go ahead.
This is just off the cuff comment a little bit. I've had people over the years that have said, why can't we have like the old fashioned festival parade downtown like it used to be? And partly because of how the traffic is, but it seems like if we could put it east-west on Hancock for a little while, who would actually have that much authority? Is it basically the state? And so, but it seems like if we did it before in years gone by, when I was a kid, you know, that seemed like it was a really fun thing. And that'd be one way of really supporting the downtown businesses too.
Yeah, that would be a decision that would be made by ODOT. Part of what we would have to look at if we wanted to seriously consider that is, one, there would be insurance requirements and liability issues. And then the other issue is where are you going to route that traffic to? Because if you close the road, you have to detour the traffic somewhere. So you'd have to think about where are you going to detour them to, and are you detouring them through the neighborhoods to the north of Hancock in order to people who still want to go through on the state highway. So I won't say it can't be done, but we'd have to sit down and really think about it and have a conversation.
Well, I would think for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, you could do that, have traffic go east-west on Hancock. And could slow it down. But if people knew, maybe the first year or the second year might be a little bit of a hang up. But after that, if people got the idea that this time of year for 2.5 hours or 3 hours, they'll probably avoid going through or come earlier before the road gets diverted. But anyway, it just was a thought to me. And I've had people ask me about it, and I just thought, well, I don't know.
The other issue is you have a lot of trucks now, and you know, where can you put those trucks?
Okay, why, you talk about trucks. There are so many trucks that I see still coming through Newberg. Who has the authority? Do we have the authority to say, we need to have a sign put up that unless you're going out 240, you shouldn't be, or delivering downtown to a business. There's no way that these trucks ought to be coming through Newberg. They should be taking the bypass. So why isn't that happening?
We don't have that authority. That roadway 99W is still considered a freight route by the state of Oregon. And what I will say is that even when the bypass is fully constructed, I'm not sure we will ever be able to take the freight route designation off. But that is a conversation that we have started to have about doing other things to the downtown area to make it more pedestrian friendly and those types of things. You know, but again, that's a process that has to go all the way up to the Oregon Traffic Commission or Transportation Commission. And then the other struggle you have, I'll just throw this out there, is that based on federal law, that freight is a commerce. And based on those types of things, we have a hard time limiting where they can go or where they can't go unless there's truly a safety issue. The road, you know, is too narrow to accept the truck, or you know, you have 90-degree bends and they can't make those turns safely, those types of things. So although we can put in some cases, we can put no through trucks, it becomes a challenge to enforce that. But yeah, anything on 99W is going to be required to go through the state in order to get a freight route designation removed. And that's, I won't say it's impossible, but I would say the chances are probably slim.
Magic words, finish the bypass. Then you can negotiate with ODOT to change it from a freight road. But right now, they are going to say, sorry, I can't impact that many businesses.
And council, I think Russ brought it up that when the next piece of the bypass happens, which has been postponed a little bit, they are closing the bypass through that construction. And so all of that traffic will be coming back through downtown on 99. So just a reminder of that. I think Russ brought it up a couple of months ago, but I just want to throw that out there.
I was just gonna say that I'm on the Parkway Committee, and I remember them saying that trucks weren't gonna be allowed in downtown after they finish the next phase. I specifically remember that. So because, yeah, the traffic, we want it quieter and safer for pedestrians. So I think
Since that's probably the last question on that, but since we have you on the hot seat, can we talk about condition of roads in Newberg and what we're gonna do about, let's say paving River Street?
So conditions of roadways in Newberg. We are all aware that there are certain roads that are worse than others. The area south of 99W, some of the worst in town. We have been diligently trying to use the transportation utility fee money, you know, every year to do as much as we can with the amount of money we can, trying to split up between making sure that the roads that are good stay good with some minimal amounts of maintenance. And then the roads that are bad really require a dig up and repave, unfortunately, in most cases. River Street itself, I don't know where it's going to be land in the 5-year plan. I know Sarah Wilson, who you met the last time, our assistant city engineer, she is working on the next 5-year plan for the pavement projects. And I don't know where she's landed yet about when we're going to be able to pave River Street or the other you know, there are a lot of roads in town, and unfortunately, no matter which one we pick, somebody's going to be upset that we didn't pick theirs. So we just have to make it, we have a priority list. We have things that we look at. And certainly River is high on the list. The concern is when we might widen River. Do we want to pave it now and then come back and redo a bunch of stuff later? Maybe. It depends on how far out we really think widening River Street might be in the plan. And part of that has to do with the urban renewal plan and how quickly that, because that would probably be one of the first projects that we do when there's money available in the urban renewal district. So it's pieces of the puzzle. So I can't tell you for sure when River Street is going to happen. What I will tell you is the trench is not done yet based on the water line that was constructed. They will be coming back in to fix the trench patch piece of that puzzle. And that'll probably be May is when the weather is going to cooperate in order to do that. But paving the entire roadway curb to curb is another discussion. But again, we've been having it. We're just not sure where we're going to land.
So couldn't we, without widening the road, couldn't we just put just a layer over it, pack it down good enough that would maybe hold for a few years until we decided if and when was the right time to widen it? Because it really is a bumpy mess going down through there.
Unfortunately, with as bumpy and as bad as the pavement is, if we were just to pave over it an inch, 2 inches, that all of that will be reflected through that new pavement in less than 5 years. So you have to weigh the cost benefit of that. Do we go out and do, a 2 inch, 1 inch overlay and it lasts 3 years? Because it won't be inexpensive to do that. So again, it's a balance and it's a cost benefit. And certainly as we start to lay out what we think the plan is going to be, if the city manager wants, we can certainly send you the council an email, kind of just letting you know where we're at, why we chose those things, and determine if there's if someone has a different idea and a different priority.
I think that'd be great, but I think I also heard you say that there's some repairs that are gonna be done over the trenches. I mean, the
Yes.
reason it's so bad is because of the water lines and so forth that we've been doing.
It certainly didn't help.
Thank you.
I have a question about North College, and I think it's an ODOT question, but it was so bumpy and full of potholes between Hancock and Illinois. And then one day it was like floating. They came in and paved it over. It was lovely. They didn't fill the potholes first. And now we're right back. I mean, it's just so inefficient. Do you guys have any input for them, or do they care? How do we make them care? I don't know.
And that's a perfect example of the reflective cracking that comes through after you pave something. Certainly it's something we work on ODOT a lot, but the fact that what they did, my guess is they're not going to come back for a while, unfortunately. But again, it's one of those, we kind of have a list for ODOT, and that we just kind of, and it stays on our list, and we email, and then we give it a month or two, and then we email again, and we give it a month or two. And but maybe talking at the Parkway Committee might be a place that can get a different level of traction for that.
So is College not gonna get repaved after they get done with their widening and the bicycle lanes?
Not down at, but not between Hancock and Illinois, certainly. And I'll be honest, I haven't looked at the plans lately on the bike lane and sidewalk project to find out how much of the roadway they're repaving, or if they're just, doing the edges and those types of things. I'd have to double check, but I can get back to you.
So ODOT's yard right across on College, right across the railroad tracks there, they don't seem to use it like they used to. I don't know, maybe this is a Doug question, but what do they plan on doing with that? Is that something that we might be able to somehow get our hands on that could be a good place for a business to come in to create some good jobs?
Counselor Doug Rux, I think I'll jump in. I was trying to be quiet tonight. Excuse me, my voice is a bit gravelly. We have inquired with ODOT in the past about the potential of them of liquidating that real estate asset so it could be repurposed for something, be it industry, be it for housing. And they've come back to us and said, no. That is part of our maintenance system for this region. We're going to hold on to that. Doesn't mean, again, never. It's just when we've made the inquiries over the last 8 years, we've been told that they are not interested and we can't force them to sell their real estate asset. They did do a revamping of their maintenance and they moved some of their maintenance operations out of the Newberg area. But they still use it a lot during the winter time. So when there's needing for sanding and so forth to go up 219 and go over the hill and so forth. And sometimes on Highway 99, they use the facility, but you're correct. They don't use it as much as they did in the past.
Well, Karen, thank you very much. We appreciate your sense of humor.
Thank you.
If does anybody have any further business they want to discuss in the work section? Seeing none, we're going to take a nice long break. We're going to adjourn this meeting and we will be back at 7 o'clock to start the next one. So thank you. Good evening, folks. This is the April 3rd, 2023 business section of the Newberg City Council. I now call this meeting to order.
Counselor McBride,
Here.
Counselor Wheatley,
Here.
Counselor Yarnell Holloman,
Here.
Counselor Kilberg,
Present.
Mayor Rosacker,
Here.
Counselor Olson,
There.
Counselor Carmen.
I'm here.
So the next, our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. So we have a proclamation today. This is Child Abuse Prevention Month. So today's proclamation is to recognize Juliet's House and the abuse, prevention of the abuse of child abuse. This is a proclamation declaring April 2023 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the city of Newberg. Whereas child abuse is one of the nation's most serious public health problems, and it is estimated that 1 in 4 children will suffer significant abuse before the age of 18. In fiscal year 2021, over 160,000 contacts were made to the Oregon Child Abuse Hotline. Whereas the physical, emotional, mental, and physical impact of abuse falls on children of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds, and each of us has a role to play in stopping the problem of child abuse as part of the solution by learning how to prevent, recognize, and report child abuse, and supporting prevention, education, and empowerment programs for children and youth. Now, therefore, as the mayor of the city council of the city of Newberg, Oregon, I do hereby proclaim April 2023 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the city of Newberg, and encourage all residents to wear blue in support each Friday during the month of April. To learn more about how you can help, visit Juliet's House, a community resource, by visiting julietshouse.org. Thank you. Mr. Worthy, are you ready for your presentation?
Yes, sir. And these will be the monthly events for March of 2023. New slide, please, Sue. Public Works was extremely busy in February and March, and several emergency preparedness actions were undertaken to include planning
for 2 weeks, be 2 weeks ready, which is something that we're going to be promoting about having water and supplies in your house in case of an emergency. Shake Alert Oregon, which will be part of the Great Shakeout, which is something that we do periodically. The Water Consortium Emergency Managers meetings have occurred, and reviewing some requests for proposals for Yamhill County grant for a unified emergency plan. And so our new emergency plan will just be part of that larger planning structure. New slide, please. Additionally, these emergency preparedness actions took place. In maintenance, snowplow response planning and fuel station planning occurred. The following systems were tested, some in collaboration with Yamhill County authorities: the Integrated Public Alert Warning System, a FEMA system; OR Alert, Oregon Alerts Warning and Notification System; and our own city Everbridge system, which we've now been using for over a year. Coordination occurred around emergency plans at the city and county levels. New slide, please. And here are a couple of images of some work that we've done recently. On Elliott Road facing south, sidewalk and ramps, and Elliott Road facing north, sidewalk and ramps. New slide, please. Facility staff undertook a great many actions during the month. In City Hall, electricians fixed lights in the lobby and painted the lobby. We fixed a sink in the engineering break room. We responded to several elevator issues, particularly non-leveling issues. Removed tables and chairs from engineering conference room, removed furniture and stuff on the walls in preparation for painting. At the public works yard, we pulled out the Newberg camellia flags for hanging, repaired a gate, worked on entering HVAC and facilities data into Cartograph for some of the fixes that we've done recently. And Cartograph, by the way, is how we track all of our variety of equipment items and repairs as we do them. It's kind of like a database for all things maintenance. We also fixed hot water heating in Building B at the yard. New slide, please. Facilities also did these things. At the library, they talked to the alarm service about some issues around alarm and smoke detectors to make sure they're working accurately and properly. Electricians fixed can lights and street lights. They checked if the cameras in the ceiling are fully operational. They replaced burnt out lights and installed fences in the back and set posts for the same. At the public safety building, this building that we're in, they repaired the toilet in the men's locker room, got an estimate for new carpet in the code enforcement room, troubleshot heat and HVAC problems, replaced an outside door in dispatch, and repaired the parking lot gate and moved 4 desks to make some space. New slide, please. And here is an image of a maintenance crew cleaning a sewer line with the new jet camera. This unique piece of equipment videos the space and cleans at the same time. New slide, please. The maintenance division also carried out these actions. Maintenance fire hydrants, which were assessed or replaced, 6. The exercise of water distribution valves, 7. Water mains flushed, 2,922 feet. Service connections repaired or at least examined, 38. Service disconnections, 17. Leak checks conducted, 46. Water meter radio MXUs replaced. That's part of that system that you've been hearing about for a while now, the radio read system, 180. Water meter maintenance, 74. Water meters replaced, 2. And new water meters installed, 16. New slide, please. And here is some images of the removal of revolting vines. And there's a before and after picture there showing how those were eradicated and making that area next to the bypass much better looking. New slide, please. And here is one of the dramatic events that took place that month with a rollover accident where a truck spilled its goods all over the road, and that involved obviously police and dispatch as well as public works. New slide, please. Operations, water and wastewater had a busy time recently conducting many actions. There were 33 coliform bacteria samples which were collected in December and January, and all of the samples complied with water quality requirements. And that's a testing regimen that we do constantly to make sure that bacteria is not active in our water. We've already begun receiving backflow assembly test reports for 2023, and test notices went out to all of those customers who have a backflow assembly, and those have been sent out this month. A pilot test system has again been installed at the water treatment plant to continue testing the best treatment process for the design of the new groundwater treatment plant. New slide, please. And there's more. We've been hosting surveyors and potential contractors looking at the site of the new groundwater treatment plant. There have been lots of work occurring on the water quality report for 2022, and these reports will go out to bulk water customers by the end of March and published to all water customers by the end of June. Additionally, 75.5 yards of compost was sold in February for those who wanted to make an early start of things. New slide, please. The mechanics remained extremely busy in February and March, catching up with preventative maintenance after equipment failures in late December and January. But also, they completed several other small projects. These included the rebuild of an auto greaser in the sludge bin, replacing an actuator in the cure bays, replacement of sections of drain pipe from the screw presses, which was actually leaking into the shop, not a desirable thing. And in early March, we replaced a broken compactor screw and the gearbox. That is a lot for a staff that's a little understaffed right now due to some illness. And lastly, for Public Works, congratulations are due to Nick Moore, plant mechanic, for completing his training and passing the driving test to obtain his CDL. Hear, hear. New slide, please. And in public safety news and accomplishments, dispatchers Jolene and Jordan graduated from DPSST Academy. Dispatcher 911 manager Laurie was asked to give the commencement speech for the graduating basic telecommunicator class. It was a wonderful speech. Pastor Leo Keelan has taken up the role of the chaplaincy for our officers, and Captain Ferguson has returned from the FBI Academy. It was a 10-week course in Quantico, Virginia, learning skills at the very highest national level, and we are very pleased to have him back. New slide, please. And here is a picture of the captain at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. New slide, please. And here are our dispatchers at the graduation at the DPSST Academy. New slide, please. In March, community engagement assisted administrative staff in recruiting for many remaining vacancies on select committees and commissions. This included updating graphics from previous autumn recruitment campaigns, as well as some new material to encourage students to apply for volunteer positions. Community engagement also responded to requests from other departments to create content, website items, and other materials as needed. Along with administrative support staff, community engagement has been engaging in FEMA training so as to be ready to serve as a public information officer and support in that role in the event of a serious emergency. And on the next pages are a few examples. You saw it here. If you want to try out being a student commissioner, it's a very good experience. New slide, please. Judge Larry will like that one. Very well done. New slide, please. Information to our residents about starting and stopping services. New slide, please. Be a leader in our community by applying to join a commission, board, or committee. New slide, please. Over to Library Land. This month has been busy with preparations for summer reading, spring break programming, and small and big changes around the library to keep the area safe for everyone. Spring break at the library has included in-person and take-home activities. To give families a fun activity in the car, we started giving away our fossil fun grab and go kits a little early, and then got the fun started at the library with a colour chromatography STEAM lab for kids, something that we really only used to do in high school. I'm quite amazed that that's happening at the public library at that level. This will continue with our Lego builders for kids and teens, and finished up with our popular all ages chess club. New slide, please. This month at the library, we wrote another grant request to fund additional cameras in the library, and we're implementing our updated library courtesy policy that Council reviewed recently. With the help of Public Works, a fence has been installed around the back sunken employee entrance, where unfortunately drug paraphernalia was commonly found. In fact, while the posts were put in but awaiting the fence, staff found 2 people in the late afternoon using drugs on the back steps. So as you can see, this was a very needed expense. New slide, please. And that demonstrates the fencing that now separates the staff area from outside of the building perimeter. New slide, please. Individuals have recently been trespassed from the library and property frequently, and thanks to Public Works, we have rearranged the library tables and furniture upstairs to allow staff better visibility to the area while still providing spaces for reading and studying. And just for fun, for the first time, a library book was found down the bottom of the elevator shaft during routine maintenance. While the book was unfortunately spoiled and could no longer be circulated due to oil, everyone had a good laugh since the title was Down a Dark Hall. New slide, please. And here is the grubby, destroyed book that was found in a pool of oil. You literally can't make this stuff up. New slide, please. In March, the IT department helped the police department with several technology upgrades, including enabling them to view building-wide camera surveillance on large screens in the walls of the dispatch center, as well as giving them a method to do electronic shift roll call in their briefing room on a shared screen. We also brought 4 new physical servers online to pave the way for a new email upgrade, and that will be coming soon, as well as a new virtual environment for our phone systems to live in. We migrated the last of our important data from the soon-to-be retired storage appliance, which will let us begin the process of decommissioning it safely and removing it from the server room. And this is part of that general picture of replacing old hardware that we've been working on all year. New slide, please. As part of our continued network improvement goals, we set up a new interface for police mobile computer secure connections. This will allow police mobile desktops to attach to the system faster and be more reliable when they're in the field. Additionally, we deployed the first of our new wireless access points to allow us to test faster speeds and higher methods of security. New slide, please. And here's a couple of pictures of that. To the right is a close-up of our new Dell servers, and to the left is the new camera setup in dispatch, which allows them to not only monitor their normal mapping for dispatch purposes, but to also observe the cameras that are around certain buildings. New slide, please. In March, the finance department has been very busy working on the budget, and more budget. Finance worked on getting the first supplemental budget done and is now working on getting the budget ironed out for FY 23-24. They have also been working on finalizing the FY 21-22 audit, as well as continuing to roll out Encode. Currently, Finance, HR, and the city manager are conducting trainings on timekeeping and executime. Executime is the thing that replaces the paper timesheets for each group that is entering the pilot program. Trainings for engineering, library, maintenance, and operations have all been conducted in March, and community development and dispatch will join the pilot group in April. And so we're doing this in a phased approach so that different groups get to practice over the coming months, because it's a really big change. New slide, please. Over to the world of planning. The Planning Commission held quasi-judicial public hearings for the subdivision at 100 South Garfield and for a conditional use permit and modification for the cell tower at 500 East Illinois. They also held legislative public hearings for the multifamily code audit for clear and objective standards and for amendments to the water master plan. Pre-application meetings were held for George Fox University for conversion of a building at 1515 East Portland Road for a clinic and a partition at 188 South Kennedy Drive. New slide, please. Pre-application meetings were also held for a partition and design review for Catholic Charities of Oregon for an apartment on the Providence Newberg Medical Campus and for a remodel of Coffee Cottage on East Hancock Street. Pre-application meetings were also held for apartments at the northeast and southeast corners of North Springbrook Road and East Hayes Street and Newberg Area Habitat for Humanity on potential development sites. Staff participated in interviews for the CMGC services for the new groundwater treatment plant. New slide, please. First and second round interviews were conducted for the vacant assistant planner position. Land use decisions were issued for Newberg Cottage Homes at 2900 North Crater Lane, Argyle expansion for fermentation tanks, and art pads for the downtown area. The consultant contract for the downtown parking inventory and utilization study was finalized, and the project kicked off with a meeting, and soon there will be a street tour of available parking spots. The consultant contract for the certified local government grant to gather input from property owners and businesses about the merits of a historic district designation in the downtown area is being prepared. New slide, please. Staff participated in Q&A sessions with the Newberg Workforce Housing Consortium and interested development entities. Planning commissioners attended a virtual training session on roles and responsibilities of being a planning commissioner hosted by DLCD. NewMac held their continued public hearing on an urban reserve area expansion application, and information was forwarded to the City Recorder's Office for public information records requests. New slide, please. The Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments has been engaged to aid processing land use applications due to the current staffing shortage in the department. City Council provided feedback on the draft housing production strategy, and the consultant is revising the document. The Building Division continues to process permit applications and is conducting inspections in Newberg, Dundee, Dayton, and Lafayette. New slide, please. So that is the many, many things that have occurred in the month of March. And as you can see, as usual, our taxpayers' dollars have been very hard at work. Are there any questions?
Go ahead, Peggy.
Sorry. I think this is for Corey. How many people in the chess club?
That's a good question. It does vary week to week, and it's an all ages chess club. I know that all of our tables end up getting used. So I think we have probably between maybe 20 and 30 people pretty regularly showing up at chess club. So it's been extremely popular, really fun to watch.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we have some council appointments to take care of. We have the Rate Review Committee, Traffic Safety Commission appointments. These are, I'm sorry, Sue, you gave me. That's in our.
So tonight you have a few appointments before you. You have, sorry, I've got new glasses if you hadn't noticed. Showing off there. It's been a few years since I got new glasses. So tonight you have Tom Rinke or Rinke, I'm not sure, to the Rate Review Committee for a term of April 3rd to December 31st, 2025. Tom is filling a vacancy that was not filled during the fall recruitment. Tom looks forward to using his experience in finance to review rates in a logical and factual way. And we are appointing a student, Toby Linhart, I got it right, sorry. We had a mistake with the name in the packet. So it is Toby Linhart to the Traffic Safety Commission for a term of April 3rd to December 31st. He's filling a vacancy that did not fill last fall. Karen is very happy. This will give her a full Traffic Safety Commission. And Toby's interest in traffic safety is collaborating with other members to make Newberg a safer place for cyclists and pedestrians by raising awareness for walkable cities. So those are the two appointments before you tonight.
So we need a motion to approve those two, Tom Ranke and Cody Linhart, to the respective committees.
Oh, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve those two as listed by Sue.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to report to appoint Tom Rinke and Cody Linhart to their respective committees. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Vote unanimous. So next we have Dean Storm. Is Dean with us today? Dean is not here.
We did call him earlier today and remind him that the interview was tonight, and I gave him my cell phone number. Let me check again. I had not seen anything from him. So apparently he has not showed. Dean was the sole applicant during our recruitment for NUMAC for the citizen position.
All right. So that takes care of that. Next will be public comments. We have two folks signed up for public comments. First is Jim Tall.
Howdy. Jim Talt speaking. I'm going to pick up where I left off last meeting, but before I do that, I want to be clear that my comments at the last meeting.
Oh.
Oh, how's that? Can you hear me now? Okay, I want my time reset, please. I'm going to pick up where I left off last meeting, but before I do that, I want to be clear that my comments at the last meeting regarding multifamily housing were not meant as a criticism of the housing needs analysis authors. They couldn't have predicted the big surge in Newberg's apartment building on commercial land. My comments were to point out our amazing good fortune and to assist in updating our HNA data because it's applicable to the housing production strategy that is being revised and coming back to you in May. So picking up where I left off, our housing needs analysis concluded at the bottom line that Newberg has a 78-acre land deficit or shortfall that is mostly tied to public and semi-public land needs. Tonight, I'm going to reevaluate those categories and show you how the analysis was incorrect for two important items. Number one, a 28-acre semi-public land need for church expansion and growth. And number two, a 60-acre public land need for need related to public parks. So number one, the HNA included a need for 28 acres of semi-public land, which in HNA speak is church lands. It calculated that if we expect to grow by 8,000 people, we will need 8 times 3.5 acres per 1,000 people, which equals 28 acres of additional lands for churches. But that analysis doesn't consider our church's existing capacity to accommodate growth. Consider this. We have 30 churches in Newberg, and most of them typically have one service per week. They can easily double their capacity by adding a second service, meaning that additional days and services can be added as needed to accommodate growth. Also, many of our churches are surrounded by vacant church-owned land with ample room for expansion. In short, there is no need for 28 acres of new church land. Number two, the H&A also included a need for 60 acres of additional parkland. The H&A used Newberg's comprehensive plan goal of 2.5 acres per 1,000 people for small residential parks and 5 acres per 1,000 people for community parks such as Jakewith. So if we do the math, residential parks is 8 times 2.5 acres per 1,000 people, or 20 acres. And community parks are 8 times 5 acres per 1,000 people, which equals 40 acres, or in other words, 60 acres total. But just like with the churches, that analysis does not consider our existing parklands may be sufficient to accommodate growth. We currently have approximately 147 acres of land inside city limits. Calculating parkland requirements for our future population of 33,000 people would go like this. 147 acres divided by 33 equals 4.5 acres per 1,000 people, which to me seems close enough to satisfy our comprehensive plan and to allow the removal of the added 60 acres from the H&A. Collectively, if the above two reassessments are factored into our housing capacity in combination with the fortuitous apartment developments discussed at the last meeting, the land capacity deficits noted in the 2021 housing needs analysis will be erased. So I'd like you to consider documenting this new data in our housing production strategy. And I suggest you do it by adding a new section following the introduction titled Housing Needs Analysis Update 2023. Please do not do this as an appendix because appendixes are often ignored. And why is this important? Because it's good. It's good to provide an accurate snapshot of where we are today, and state law requires that an H&A address any shortfalls in land capacity and present planned corrective action. Our H&A failed to address those shortfalls, and I expect the state will eventually get back to us with questions. It would be good to have our answers prepared and documented. Can I have 1 more minute, sir? Despite my comments about our land sufficiency, we actually do have something of a problem. Those existing parklands are not always where we need them. So here are a couple of sound bites for your consideration. Those small parcels of commercial and industrial lands that you are looking to convert to residential land could be considered for parklands if any of them are well located for that purpose. That 11-acre parcel near Joan Austin that Polish Homes is asking you to convert to a high-density residential area could be considered for purchase by the city and CPRD for a community park, which would fit perfectly with the Springbrook Oaks plan. And finally, in my opinion, there is a need for a community sports park near the Greens area, especially with the new development being planned there. CPRD owns 97 acres south of Ferndale Road, some of which could be considered for this purpose. But you better be quick because CPRD is planning to build another golf course there. So that's it. Thanks for that extra time.
Thank you, Jim. Next, we have Pat Haight, and out of fairness, Pat, you can have 6 minutes as well.
There, my name's Pat Haight, and I've lived here about 80 of my 85 years. And I've seen some things that have made me sick and some things that have made me very happy. I don't know I don't see everybody who knew the Butler family. Mike did, I'm sure, and Bill probably. Howard Butler had a problem with that property that we call the Butler property because they did all their work on cars under the ground. And the ground was so saturated at the end, it would have cost the Butlers about $1 million. And this was like 30 years ago to clean up the ground. So they sold the Butler property to the city for $1. And it's sit there empty ever since. And because it's contaminated, you can't have food there or much of anything else. But what I think you could put there that would be a great thing, because we are just a drive-through town. People just, if they don't take the overpass, they just drive right through. This would give our town some personality. Coming events sign on that property would give us something that isn't there now. It'd have some purpose and some meaning. You could have a very nice coming events sign on that property. It could advertise all of the events at the cultural center, the Newberg sports coming up. I have a list this long, but I forgot all my papers. So it could really serve a good purpose, and it wouldn't break any rules or regulations. And people driving through our town would see that we're not just a drive-through town, that we are a city with people that live here who enjoy the events and all of the things that go on here. You could advertise the Old Fashioned Festival. You could advertise Tunes on Tuesday. You could advertise the art shows at the Cultural Center and everything that goes on there. And it would serve a really good purpose to where we're not just a drive-through town, that people just don't want to take the overpass. So they rush through our town and, oh God, the traffic, it's terrible. Well, if they're going to drive slower, they're going to have time to read a sign that says, hey, Tunes on Tuesday and you're all invited, you know. I don't think it would cost the city $1 million to put that on that property. It's just right across the street and we own the property. So that's my suggestion. I'm sorry I didn't bring all the paperwork and the research I did. It was about 30 years ago that this property's been sitting there empty with no purpose. One mayor was gonna paint murals on the post office side, which I don't know if you've driven through Portland, but you don't want to paint anything on any building like that in this town. That's not good, whatever you call it. So that's what I came here tonight for, is to present this idea to you, to see if we could find the funds to put a coming events sign on the property, the Butler property. The city owns it. There's nothing that you have to do to go through to meet any requirements or anything. It's not going to make anybody sick. If you catch my message, I can take a deep breath and try and get back to my chair. So is that something that you guys can talk about and see? You might want to get some bids on signs to see how much it would cost the city. I thought maybe one week out of the month you could have businesses that wanted to spend $25 for a week of advertising could do that. I thought that'd be a good idea, and it would be able to maintain the sign, you know, dust it off once a week or something, so it's cleaned up and doesn't look crappy. So you get my message, all of you. I would like to have you guys talk about this and get back to us maybe on the next meeting or so. Because I'd like to look forward to that happening in Newberg. So that they see us as a community of people who have activities, who, you know, that we're somebody. Because after you've lived here as long as I have, there's a lot of people that drive through this town that could give a crap about this town. And that's not how it is, because we're all paying the bill to live here. That's enough. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know Pat, she has been politically active in this town most of my life. And I thank you for that. Pat, this is really a good idea. But if you're going to depend on city council to take care of it, it's never going to get done. If you really would like to see a project like this get done, then please talk to your friends and your acquaintances and get a group of people together and help us to find a source of funding, at least to get it started. Once we have a little bit of money and some public interest, then the city council would like to partner with you and do something like that.
I'm probably one of the oldest people in this town now, because there's no friends anymore. I'm surviving, but they've all passed on. So I don't know. I have talked to some people about it, mentioned it, you know, wouldn't it be neat if we had a sign there? You know, we could turn our town into something that we can be really proud of, and everybody's gonna slow down to see what's coming up next. Thank you.
Could you push the
Doctor,
button before you go,
If your
please?
doctor ever tells you to get your hip replaced,
All right. Next, we have a legislative hearings. We have two legislative hearings. First one is on ordinance number 2023-2914. An ordinance amending the 2017 water plan and incorporating the addendum water supply planning 2023 into Newberg comprehensive plan. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Mayor. Doug Rux, Community Development Director, and with me is Karen Hoffman, City Engineer. All right,
So Mayor, just a sec. Do we have to do this stuff?
you
Public
have to
hearing?
do
Okay,
bias.
sorry.
Thank you. That's what Doug is waiting for. So I call this legislative hearing to order. It's at this point, if any counselors have declaration of conflicts of interest or abstentions, this is the time to bring them up. Seeing none. Thank you, Doug. Please, your report.
Thank you, Mayor. So this evening, Karen and I are going to present to you on the Water Master Plan update. So the Water Master Plan is part of the city's comprehensive plan. You may ask, why are we amending the Water Master Plan as part of the comprehensive plan? And that's for our groundwater treatment plant. So in order to seek financing, we have to have that groundwater treatment plant listed in our Water Master Plan. Currently, it is not. So that's the impetus of why we've gone through this process over the course of the last year or so. Next slide. So this adds a new addendum. It's the Water Supply Planning 2023. And so it adds it to our 2017 Water Master Plan. The last time we amended the Water Master Plan was for the Riverfront Master Plan area. That was several years ago. So specifically, this one does amendments to Chapter 4, which is our water supply analysis, and Chapter 7, our recommendations and capital improvement program, which is our CIP. I'm fully aware it's a very large document. It's a very technical document. We will do better in the future about trying to find a way to bookmark all of this stuff, make it easier for you to be able to read. Next slide. So the addendum focuses on the redundant water supply. So councils have been talking about this for several years now. And so as part of that redundant was creating a process in the future to be able to draw water from the Willamette River. And so that process is in place and we're working on obtaining water rights that we are purchasing. So that's now with the Water Resources Department and that's being evaluated. The second part of that was our groundwater treatment plant. So we have our wells that are on the south side of the Willamette River and we have two pipelines that come to the north side, which feed into our existing plant. But as Karin has shared with you in prior meetings is that the facility is aged. It's not seismically resilient. And so we've embarked upon building a new groundwater treatment plant. Next slide. So, and this is a pretty brief presentation. So plan is very long. Karin and I are going to be very brief. So we had to evaluate all of this with the statewide planning goals, and in your packet, we've identified that it complies. It's always important to enter the entire staff report into the record. I always forget that one at the beginning. We entered the entire staff report into the record. We also had to evaluate it against the Newberg comprehensive plan, and the findings conclude that it is compliance. There's also a very long list of Oregon Administrative Rule. Chapter 660, Division 11 relates to public facilities planning. And so we had to go through and do amendments to portions of that and make findings that the groundwater treatment plant in this Appendix F to the Water Master Plan is in compliance. We also had to evaluate that it was consistent with type 4 procedure, which is a legislative procedure within our comprehensive plan. Next slide. So this is what would change in the comprehensive plan. We would add the words and addendum, water supply planning 2023. Here's where I need to make some adjustments. And so in the material that we sent out to you in Appendix F, there's a table 2. And it was brought to our attention that there was a missing number in table 2 based upon the percentage that applies to SDCs. And that number has been corrected. We also then got some additional feedback about a surface water plant. And so the plan does not say we're going to build a surface water plant. So at your seats tonight, you have an updated table 2 that Karin worked with consultants, Consor, and updated that particular table. So what we've done is we've added in the percentage that is SDC eligible, which is project S2. We have then taken the surface water plant and moved that beyond the 20-year horizon, except for $5 million. And that would be the pre-planning work over the next 20 years, but that would be towards the outward end of that particular 20 years. So I'll just kind of set the stage for that, and Karin can give you the details of the adjustments.
So as Karin Hoffman, city engineer. So as Doug noted, what we did was we did move the surface water plant out to the construction would be beyond the 20-year horizon. But just acknowledging that that is a future thing so that we don't forget about it. We also added in a column that is the beyond 20-year cost allocated to growth. And so there is a number over there for those projects that are in that beyond the 20-year horizon that we can evaluate when we look at future funding sources and those types of things. One thing to keep in mind, I know that SDC subcommittee knows this, but if the project's not on a list somewhere, one, it can't be SDC eligible once the council adopts that list for the SDC purposes, but it also helps us when we're going to apply for grants or other funding sources. One of the first things that those entities ask for is it in the plan? So we want to make sure that they're in the plan for those future projects as we move forward.
So what this did with these last changes, what's in your packet that was distributed, you had a total cost allocated to growth, which was a little over 56 million. That number has now gone down to 44.8 million. So a big reduction, but that's attributed to moving a future surface water plant out beyond the 20-year horizon. Next slide. So staff's recommendation is to adopt ordinance 2023-2019 with the amendment of substituting table 2 in appendix F. That's all staff has.
Questions? I have several, actually. The first one would be, why exactly are we considering building a second water plant when we are already building a first water plant?
So the second water plant has to do with, again, future growth and also redundant supply. So one of the conversations that we've been having for the last several years is if something was to happen to our well field, we have no other water source. And we don't have a connection to another system. We would have no water to provide to the citizens. So we were looking at what our other options were. We started that in 2019. And the previous council directed staff to acquire water rights on the Willamette River for that future source. Water rights were available, readily available, being sold by the mill property. And so we have worked through acquiring those. And again, as Doug noted, that they are in the water at the water resources folks to approve that. So we're setting ourselves up for that next phase, but that next phase is further out. Anytime you're talking about water, you really need to be thinking 50, 75 years out. What's the next source? Because water is in short supply in this state and in the country for that matter. And so that's what we're just trying to plan for that future. We don't need to build a plant anytime in the next 20 years, but it's setting us up for when we do need to start to build a plant, we have that ability to do that.
It kind of seems like if we're not going to build a second plant, then why are we even putting it in here? Why couldn't it be done 20 years from now? Because if we need some additional water, we can pull the water from the Willamette. That's what we bought the water rights to, correct? And then funnel it into, you can't do it that way?
No, so groundwater and surface water are treated in two separate ways. So our groundwater treatment plant, as it will sit, will not be able to treat the surface water to meet state standards. So, and there's one of two options. We either build a separate plant to do the surface, or we could add additional treatment processes to the groundwater treatment plant when the time comes that we want to pull water out of the Willamette River. But we would not be able to just pull water out of the Willamette River and run it through our existing groundwater treatment plant and have it meet state water quality requirements.
Yeah. So is that because there's more contaminants, I guess, in the Willamette River than there is the groundwater? So, I mean,
There are
with the
different
technology
contaminants.
that we have nowadays, why, I just don't understand why we couldn't be able to flip a valve, pull the water in, have it go through all the purification that we would have it go through. I'm missing something. I'm
So
sure.
our groundwater, the process for the groundwater in order to meet state standards is the removal of iron. Mainly the removal of iron is what we have to do. And then we add chlorine to it. There are different contaminants that occur in the surface water arena, and there are more requirements for treatment. So depending on what we actually end up building as a treatment option for our groundwater treatment plant, which we're still working on the design for that piece of it, is that without adding additional treatment processes, you wouldn't be able to just flip a valve and put that other water into that facility.
So I read the 545-page document, and it talks in great depth about the reason for wanting this plant or for needing this plant. And you stated a minute ago that growth is part of the reason, and yet that is not in the document anywhere.
So there are, when we went through the redundant water supply process with the subcommittees and the city council, we looked, the original master plan said we needed redundant water supply. And so we did go through a process about what did redundant water supply mean? Did that mean just for existing citizens? Did it mean for future growth? What did it mean? And so the council made the decision that we wanted to acquire the ability to provide an additional 8 million gallons a day, whether that be for redundant and or future growth. But that is the task that they set us out on to acquire the ability to provide that additional water. And so that's what we did. So when I say future growth, it will provide some future growth because it can work as redundant supply, but it also could work if we grew enough that we needed that additional water, that we could use it as a secondary supply and put that into our system also. So it gives us the opportunity for both.
I think what might be useful, you've taken the plan, all but the 5 million planning out of this, which greatly simplifies our conversation tonight. But I also went through 548 pages, and I think having a work session on the water plan would bring this council up to speed, and we kind of need it. We don't need it for this because you moved the most controversial part out, but would request that we be able to do that in the future. It's not urgent. If that makes sense to you, Bill. It's not the sort of thing we're going to get educated on in 15 minutes, I don't think.
Well, I think I can simplify this pretty good. We're gonna struggle to get $22 million to build the water plant that we're gonna build. And the reason we're building this is in part for future supply. And in my discussions with Russ, and also according to the document in front of us, our future, the well field that we currently own, the land that we own, and the ability to develop more wells on that land should take us well into the, for the next more than 100 years. I don't see any reason why we would build a $22 million plant for a groundwater treatment plant, and then alongside of it, build an entirely new water treatment plant for surface water, which is a much more expensive process at more than double the cost of the plant that we're considering. We still have Otis Springs. If we need more water besides our well field, it's not, it doesn't replace our well field, but it could be used as that second supply. We should talk about down the road whether or not to continue with our purple pipe program with Otis Springs. I don't see the cost benefit of that for us or our ratepayers. I think by the time we build that system, supply main lines to the areas that we're currently requiring the purple pipes to be put in the ground, we're not going to save any money. We could increase our water supply through this, sell our metered water to the customers to water their lawns, and go with that. The golf course, which is probably the biggest source of or biggest need for water, has an entirely different supply. They get the water off of the effluent from our wastewater treatment plant. That plant was that process was done many years ago, several years ago, and it's working as far as I understand, but it's not cheaper than buying the city's water, is it?
So yes, it is. The cost per cubic foot of water is cheaper from the reuse system. And actually the golf course does take Otis Springs water for the beginning and end of the season. They take the reuse right in the middle of their irrigation system season. I will also note, I don't disagree that Otis Springs might be an option, but Otis Springs is also considered a surface water source. So we would have to treat it as the same as we would have to treat the Willamette River if we pulled water out of that system. So certainly if there are concerns about the way we have been looking at our long-term, extreme long-term, we can certainly have that conversation with the council. Again, we could bring back all of the information and then have that discussion with the council about where we've been and how we got to where we are today. And then have the council decide if they want to continue down that path or not. Again, there's no money planning to be spent on any of that and any time in the foreseeable future. Although I will note that the council did give the approval to buy those water rights, and that is in process. That document and contract has already been signed and is in the works. So.
I was just gonna say that I thought it might be a good idea, just hearing your comments, to maybe spend some time in a future work session to really dive in to make sure that the council feels like there's agreement in the long-term vision. And if there's any edits that we want to make, it could be a good time.
I absolutely agree with that, but I guess we need to make a decision because we have a water treatment plant to build. And if we are going to build a surface water treatment plant, there's no reason to go forward with the water plant that we're going to build now. We don't need 2 water plants. There's not a major city in this country that has 2 water plants capable of producing enough water for their system. The redundancy area, I mean, we're talking about a 9.0 earthquake. If that happens, probably both systems would be down for a good deal of time. But we live in the greatest country in the world. We have assets available to us to supply water to our citizens, even in the event of a 9.0 earthquake. So I definitely agree. We need to talk about this, but we need to do it quick because I don't think this is a question of building 2 water plants. I really think we need to make the decision as to which one we're going to build for the future. Will Worthy.
I was just going to say, Honorable Mayor Ruzaker, the main thing is that by moving any of this math beyond that 20-year horizon, the main point was to ensure that it doesn't have an immediate impact on SDC rates. And that buys us the time to come back and review this with work sessions and then edit the document again later. And I'm assuming there's no technical reason why we can't re-edit the document, but in the meantime, not hold up the process to build the plant that we have to build because we're under the shot clock of the control of the state.
So we can, if we were to approve this tonight, then we can change it, amend it at any time, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. Okay.
That is correct.
Okay.
So does anybody want to make a motion?
Is there any public comment?
Mr. Mayor, I have not received any public comment, written or oral, on this item.
Okay. I'll make a motion. I'm sorry.
Jim?
Oh,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, since there's no public testimony, if we close public testimony and then get staff's recommendation, then I think the council will be ready to have the opportunity, if it would like to first waive the second reading if it wants to, because we're dealing with an ordinance, and if it decides to waive the second reading, then it can adopt. And if you'd prefer that I not read those 548 pages, read by title only. So.
Unless you're a speed reader.
We should. He should have to read it, yes.
All right, so the public comments closed. So we have 2 things to do here. One is to waive the second reading.
Recommendation from staff.
Oh, okay.
Take your green.
Thank you, Mayor. So staff's recommendation is to adopt ordinance number 2023-2914 with the amendment of substituting table 2 in appendix F based upon the handout this evening.
Now we can waive it. Do we have to move to waive it? How do we waive it? Do we just say?
So to waive thank you, Councilor Olson, to waive the second reading, you do need a motion and a second to waive it and a vote.
I would like to move to waive the second reading. of the 548-page document.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 I,
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Derek, did you vote in favor of the waiver?
Yes, I'm in favor of that.
Okay, thank you, Derek.
Now we,
Now there can be a motion to adopt ordinance number 2023-2914 with the, and correct me, Mr. Rux, if I'm stating this inaccurately, with the amendment to table 2 in appendix F,
So moved
and read by title only.
and read by title only.
Second.
So now I'll read it by title only. In front of the council is ordinance number 2023-2914, an ordinance amending the 2017 Water Master Plan and incorporating the Addendum Water Supply Planning 2023 into the Newberg Comprehensive Plan. That's with the amendment to table 2 of appendix F.
so is there any discussion?
Mayor, just clarification again, why? What triggered you guys to replace this table with the other table? And again, and second part is, what does it mean by moving it out past 20 years?
Okay. You addressed it. I can't answer that question for you, though. The reason they're moving it is so that it takes it off the SDC. The master plan puts it outside of the 20-year period that we have to consider for SDCs, which I think is a good start. But I personally think that we should amend this to not have that put into the water treatment plant right now at all, or just vote no, turn this thing down, wait until we have more information and put it in at a later date. So,
And Honorable Mayor Ruzaker, I guarantee I will bring this item back with dispatch for a thorough scoping and for some time for deliberation. By moving forward today, we're avoiding any delay on the water plant that we have to build, but I pledge I will bring it back with dispatch.
so the water plant that we have to build is not part of this at all. So then can we amend it to remove the second portion? Well, okay, I mean, I'm just one person here, but I would like to, I mean, we've done all this work. They've done all this work to change all these documents to put this stuff in here. I just think it's better to make a decision before we put it in there rather than to have to take it out later, because that's where we are in the other plans that we have. We have a situation now that we had to pass an ordinance that we all want to take out, and we can't do it without going through the legislative process. So I would prefer to amend this to remove the surface water treatment plan from this document until such time we decide to put it back in.
What, question for the staff? Because I think they were attempting to meet that need of yours by moving the plant itself out past 20. And I think this council deserves some time to look at what is fundamentally the question of a redundant water supply on the north side of the Willamette River. Because our wells are on the south side, and it wouldn't take a 9 earthquake to give us major water problems in Newberg. So thinking through what our options are, I mean, you read it and I read it, but the council deserves a good presentation and a work session on it. Is it your suggestion that they remove the $5 million for study so that nothing about the surface plant is mentioned in this plan? Is that your request?
Yes, there's a $5 million for study. There's also a $15 million item in there for the intake for this project.
That's the groundwater treatment plant. That's not the surface water though, right? No, I think,
The $15 million entry is for the surface water intake, and the thinking behind that, I was told a week ago or so, was that in the event that we do have an earthquake and our well field is somehow severed from our system, but our system still exists, that we will be able to pump raw water, raw Willamette River water into the pipes and give people an order to boil the water at home. For $15 million, that sounds like not much. So again, this requires further study. I really would like to not put it in this document at this point. We may decide to put it in later, but that would be my point of view.
so I'll go back to my original question, city manager or Doug, what is the impact of not passing this tonight?
So there are several factors to this. First of all, the development of the planning that created the package for the WIFIA loan has many interlinked parts. And this is nothing to do with a water plant from the surface water. It has many interlinked elements which are connected to our well field water. We are already in motion for WIFIA funding for the package that has been designed. By removing the elements that are problematic, and I understand that beyond the 20-year horizon, we will be able to proceed with the design as we already have laid it out, including the rates table, which kept any possible rate increases at 4.5% or less, which is very, very good in a time of developing a new water plant, and give us more time to come back and review everything carefully with a view to literally redacting all references to this if it is not the will of council. What I'm saying is, to put it another way, given the complexity of the document that is before you and the way that there are parts threaded through the document connected to the surface water aspect, the removal of it is not a simple matter. This is not obfuscation. This is not me blocking anything, the will of council. I'm simply saying that the best approach would be, I believe, based upon my technical information I've been given, that the best thing would be to proceed with the document as it is today, having pushed those fiscal elements beyond the planning horizon that affects rates and SDCs, and then take the time to do a really thorough review for this new council together for the first time to review all of the information and make a decision informed about water redundancy. That would be my suggestion.
I guess I would like to remove the $5 million for the planning and the $15 million for the intake off into the future. So that's not part of the SDC consideration, because we are going through that and we don't need to add this money in if it's not going to be used. So at the very least, I would like to see us do that. If we can do those, then I guess I could support this. I would hope that in the future, we would have discussions about these items before they come to us to vote on, so that we don't put each other in this position. Go ahead, Mike.
So I was kind of thinking we just take anything out of this that had anything to do with the surface water, but it seems like from Will's point of view that, you know, it's interwoven too much. So I would agree with you that let's take out the 5 million, let's take out the 15 million for the study, and we pass it. Have Will bring it back. We have another discussion about it at another time, and let's move forward. I don't want to stop the process of us planning for a new water treatment plant. So, but I don't want to have anything in there that might trip us up a little bit.
Okay, just it's process question, not whether or not we should be able to use Willamette water in an emergency. Set that aside for a minute. If we don't approve this as written, you have to go back and amend it and bring it back. Is that correct?
and I will have the city attorney help me on this one, but my thought would be, based upon the discussion, if you want to remove the project S4 and S5 in its entirety, we would want to go back to the consultant to redo the table once again, so we have a correct table, not an assumption of what you think the numbers might look like. That would mean not doing the second reading. Well, we'd have to kind of unravel what we've done and come back at the next meeting to do the second reading of the ordinance.
So Mr. Rux is right. So under the city's charter, obviously, any substantive amendments have to be read. Substantive amendments to ordinances need to be read out loud. And looking at the 5 and the 15 that I see under S4 and S5, that's certainly a substantive amendment, right? But that's something that we need to unravel. So it needs to be brought back to council after those changes are made. And what I would recommend is, because there's a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance with the updates to the table, that council vote on that, if, you know, up or down, whichever direction council decides. And then depending on the results of that, if that is not adopted, then the ordinance can go away, and you can table it until a hearing comes after the table has been updated.
Since we were able to move the items earlier today out to past the 20-year horizon, wouldn't it be simple just to move those other 2 items out past the 20-year horizon and pass it as it is?
I would look to our city engineer on that one.
We can certainly move them out to past the 20-year horizon in this plan. That's relatively simple, but as the city attorney said, I don't know if that would be considered a substantive change or not. But it would change your 20-year total numbers, and it would change your total cost allocated to growth in this planning horizon, and your total allocated beyond 20 years. So it would change several of those numbers, whether that would be substantial or not, and we could just make that happen. Again, that's.
Yeah, it certainly constitutes a substantial change under the charter, and my concern is just in moving it out past the 20, the updates to the table. It's hard to. I'm concerned about the ability to read that out loud with sufficient clarity to capture the substantive change. And so my recommendation would be that if council wants to make that change today, that it allow staff to take it back, make the update, and then bring it back.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Mike?
So just a quick question. If we, at a later date, at any time, I guess, we take out the 5 million and that $15 million amount, we have to take it back to a consultant. Is there a fee that he's going to charge us? And if so, how much would that fee be?
I will direct that one back to the city engineer.
Yeah, we do have a consultant that is that runs all of these numbers and updates this table. At how much this would probably only take a couple of hours at the most. So it shouldn't be that much.
So just, if we downvote this today, I want to go back to understanding the impact. We have 2 paths in front of us. One is we vote this knowing we're gonna have a work session, we're gonna change it. And all of the work on the groundwater treatment plant can go forward. We downvote this and staff goes into its fastest mode of making changes that we haven't discussed yet as a council. You want it, but as you said, it's one vote, and maybe you've already got other people who also don't want this, but shouldn't we, from transparency and everything else, do the work session, talk about it, and then make the changes? Because I know you feel strongly about this and I accept that, but I feel like it's being shoved. And we have the ability to vote this tonight and say, knowing that a high priority work session as quickly as possible, and we are going to amend it, but it won't affect the groundwater treatment plant going forward. It just feels like, I understand your frustration with how legislative stuff works, but feels a little bit like it's being shoved. And so is it possible to not make the changes on the fly, make them thoughtfully with full knowledge for all the council members, because we've all not survived reading that 500-page document, and then have the discussions? Do we want to be able to run Willamette water in the event that we're separated from our wells? Right?
Counselor Carmen, what are your comments?
Oh, no, I just wanted to say that I completely agree with the comments of Counselor Olson and the earlier comments of Counselor Holloman, and that we should be looking at a work session for this.
Mr. Mayor, may I offer a third solution? May I offer a third solution?
Sure.
Okay, you can unwind it parliamentarily by, however you say that. It's like armadillo. I've never mastered it. You can suspend your vote on this motion that's on the floor. You can reconsider the vote that you already took on the waiver, and then basically you're resetting the clock, right? To where you have not voted on this motion to adopt or fail the ordinance. And you've taken the first reading off. Or you keep the first reading, and your person who made your motion, Counselor Olson, and your person who made your second, Counselor Kilber, withdraw their second and withdraw their motion to pass the ordinance, or I'm sorry, Olson and McBride, on the motion that's on the floor. So you can undo it that way. It's a little less naughty, meaning KNOTTY, not Will's sort of naughty, NAUGH. Sorry, I just thought about the ramifications of using naughty. I meant yarn. Yeah, okay. It leaves you without a decision tonight. It puts the vote for the next meeting, which would be April 17th. I do not know the effects of changing that timeline.
So that's what I was wondering is, I mean, if we don't pass this tonight and we wait 2 weeks or we wait a month, so we can have a chance to discuss it even further, I don't think it's going to stop the moving forward of our plan for a water treatment plant. I mean, we still have the basics and that we have to be finishing and working on now anyways. So,
That's a question to ask them.
so I'm, okay, that's a question then for Doug. I mean,
Well, this again, I'm gonna pass this back to our city engineer. I'm the conduit on doing the plan amendment, not the details of all of the technical stuff in Appendix F.
Karen, will that cause a substantial issue, a 2-week delay?
Actually, Katie wants to have a say first.
A 2-week delay, no, but just so council's aware, I'm working on getting us a credit rating for the WIFIA loan. And so it depends on whether or not we do the surface water plant as to which route I go. So one option would be we could use our credit rating from our existing water loans that we have. So kind of based on our repayment plan, but their advice was if we have future water projects in the kind of in the queue that are going to come on, we should get a full system analysis credit rating done. So I probably would want to know if that's in or out in the next couple of weeks.
So what I will say is that to wait 2 weeks on the loan, the current WIFIA loan, it will probably not make that much of a difference. We have made our application and we're working through making sure all of the paperwork is there, and it's going to take several months. It does have to be done before we sign loan documents. And it will make a difference on part of what we need to submit for the loan as Katie noted. But it could wait 2 weeks if the council wants us to come back with a full, and I don't know what's on the council agenda for April 17th, but if they want me to come back with a full discussion about how we've gotten to where we are and that kind of conversation, I can certainly make something ready relatively quickly.
Okay, I'm not sure what exactly we need to.
Mayor,
that-
I'm
that-
happy to withdraw my motion.
And I'll withdraw my second.
So the main motion has been withdrawn from the floor.
Okay, so that means we're gonna table this motion until the next meeting. And
You've held your first hearing, your first reading.
mhm,
So the second reading will be scheduled for April 17th. With the
Okay.
changes, any changes to be made need to be published per the charter 7 days before the meeting. So when the next packet publishes on April 10th, any changes will need to be published on that date to meet the terms of the charter.
God
So-
bless Sue.
And I would,
How do we have a work session so that we know what the changes are by April 10th?
So the work session can cover other discussions about the water system. But yes, you're correct. To meet this timeline, and thank you, Sue, as always, for your eloquence. To meet this, we're certainly going to have to jump back on the rates table very fast. We're going to have to look at these line items. We may or may not be able to schedule the contractor. But we dare not wait because of the WIFI loan too long. So we're going to have to get together quickly and do this. And we're looking at item S4 and S5.
and I guess, Mr. Mayor, just so that everybody's aware, making the changes and coming back on the meeting, given workload this week, staff deficiencies, I wouldn't, if we can get the revisions on the table and so forth, I probably would not get a report submitted into the system until the end of the day, Thursday. Just so everybody's understanding of that.
So Mr. Rux is indicating, of course, that this may fall outside the normal production schedule because it's impossible.
Since I run the production schedule, it's okay with me, Doug.
Just wanted to know, it's not going to be there first thing in the morning.
So why, instead of throwing staff and us into this swirl, why would we not pass this, schedule a work session and amend it? I don't understand.
You've
Sorry.
withdrawn the main motion,
No, I
so
get
you would
that.
have to make another motion.
No, it's really a question.
Okay.
Is there an issue I'm missing? I'm probably missing an issue.
What is the fear, I guess? Is the fear that we won't amend it?
I see no reason, I mean, if you're asking me.
Yeah, you.
I see no reason why we should be planning 2 different water treatment plants at the same time. So I would like to decide which one we're gonna go with and then proceed with that one. And let the other one go by the wayside. That's what I would like to see done. Of course, I am only one of 7 votes and I've not tried to persuade anybody to join me in this, so. Yeah, I mean, that's my idea.
It's not that I'm in opposition. I think that is the discussion in the work session. And so if we pass this tonight, just if someone made a motion and someone else seconded it, and we passed it, knowing that we would schedule a work session and not try and get it done in the next 5 days, which they can't do. They're very willing to try, but they've got budget coming up and I think we're creating an impossible situation for staff when we could pass it and amend it. And then staff has time to work it because nobody's going to go build a surface plant or an intake valve in the next month. We have time. We can actually change it without throwing staff into chaos. And that's all I'm proposing. I'm not proposing that we do a surface plant or an intake. I'm just saying, let the process work in the least destructive way to staff. That's my request. It's not a motion, just so you know.
Mr. Mayor, respond to Counselor Olson's question about why, because I'm not going to vote for something that I don't want. I'm not going to, it just seems very disingenuous. I do sympathize with the workload, but it just doesn't make sense to me to vote for something that I don't want. So that's just the bottom line for me.
Sorry. Yeah. The question isn't, honestly, because of the way city stuff works, the question isn't, do you want this or not? We already know there's a big discussion about, do we want this stuff in here or not? The question is, do you want staff to be able to process the WIFIA loan for the groundwater treatment plant while we go ahead and work on changing the long-term planning the last council did? So fundamentally, I think what we're doing is stepping on the brake on what the last council did. And that's okay, we can do that. But when we do it, let's do it in a way that doesn't crater staff. This is, city stuff is like driving the Exxon Valdez. It takes time to turn stuff. And when we try and treat it like I would at Intel or you would in your business, this place doesn't work like that easily. So my request is really that we think about how we get to where you want to go, not trying to change you from where you want to go. That's all.
All right, I mean, I see this exactly the opposite of what you're describing. I see this as we all agree, are in agreement that we want to build a groundwater treatment plant. The rest of the things that are in there are something that staff has directed that they wanted to do. And I have lots of comments about that. You know, they went to the public in an open house and they asked the public some questions. I mean, they were basically a push poll. I was part of it. I looked at it. I didn't vote. But if you went to the public and said, we're going to build a $22 million groundwater treatment plant, and then in the interest of having a redundant supply, do you want us to spend another $46.5 million to build a redundant plant that we have no need for? I think the answer to the poll would have been significantly different. We all have insurance, fire insurance on our house because it costs $700 a year. If that insurance policy cost us $100,000 a year, none of us would have insurance on our house. So, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I wish that we would have, I mean, I hate this stuff being brought to us with no time, no time to do it. You know, this is an honest discussion between counselors who, care. And I don't see any reason to approve something knowing that we don't want it to happen or possibly don't want it to happen down the road. So that's my position. That's enough said. At this point, let's table this motion for 2 weeks or table this item for 2 weeks. So the next item on the agenda is another really easy one.
Oh my God. I thought we were gonna make it for the end of the game and it's over now.
So Mayor, I just kind of a joking question is, why is my face on all these?
Because we haven't had a chance to work together and do this stuff beforehand in private, we have to do it up here as a council, and I apologize, but that's the way it.
Like I said, I start off, it was a joke. Why is my face on all these things?
So the next is ordinance number 2023-2913. It's an ordinance amending the Newberg Comprehensive Code. And again, Mr. Rux, this is also a legislative hearing, so we have to do this correctly. Once again, I call this meeting to order. This is the time for any of us to declare conflicts of interest or abstentions. Before we do that, why don't we take about 3 minutes, since one counselor's already left, and let's take a 3-minute break and come back. Seeing none, it's time for our staff report. Wonder who's given that.
Thank you, Mayor. Doug Rux, Community Development Director. I have with me Heather Austin from 3J Consulting. So she has been working with us on this project from the very beginning, and 3J worked with us when we were doing the middle housing work as well. So they've had some continuity. So I will begin by entering the entire staff report into the record rather than getting halfway through the presentation and making that statement. So we're going to give you a PowerPoint presentation, kind of tag team. Heather's going to do most of it. And then I've got a slide or two to respond to after that. So Heather, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Doug. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be here with you this evening to talk about multifamily housing standards. This is a recommendation coming to you from your planning commission that was in your packet for this evening's meeting. Next slide, please. And I know we had a joint work session with you and your planning commission, so I'll try to keep the background information brief, but just as a reminder, the project objective is to audit and amend the multifamily housing standards so that we are in compliance with Oregon's needed housing statutes. This project is primarily state funded. It did have a city match, but the majority of the funding came from the state to bring the city into compliance with ORS 197.307, which requires a clear and objective pathway for residential development, but it does allow an optional discretionary pathway, which is what we are proposing in the proposed code amendments. Next slide, please. So the project plan is to update the development code to add this new pathway for multifamily development, and then to maintain our existing standards, which becomes our discretionary pathway. So that's, you don't want to meet all of the clear and objective. You have something innovative, something different, some type of land or topography that doesn't lend itself well. So you'd like to come and have a discretionary review process. You can still do that. So that is still an option available. The current standards remain available, but to comply with state law, we now are adding this layer of a clear and objective pathway and choosing what the most important items are in that pathway. We are not changing any of the types of housing that are permitted in each zone. So right now, if multifamily is permitted in a zone, it continues to be. If it's not, it continues to not be permitted in that zone. So that's a key piece of this. We're not mixing what types of housing goes in which zone. Next, please. So just a reminder on multifamily dwelling, the definition there, I know you've all worked on middle housing and you're familiar with single family detached housing. So this is none of those things. We are not touching those. There's already a clear and objective pathway for developing those types of housing in the city. You have worked hard to make sure that that happens. So now we're just finalizing your clear and objective standards for housing by addressing multifamily, which is 5 or more dwelling units on one lot or parcel. Next slide, please. So with these proposed code amendments, there's really 2 categories. There were 3 originally. We did have parking numbers in there, but that has been removed based on the joint work session discussion that we had. We didn't move that forward to the Planning Commission. So we brought forward clear and objective site and building design standards, as well as land use review type changes. So what is in your packet this evening is what was recommended from the Planning Commission after having reviewed all of the proposed changes and the information that we're providing to you this evening. Next slide, please. So the clear and objective standards, again, I think I've said this 3 times already, but there's 2 pathways. The discretionary is the current code. We keep it in place. No changes there. The objective pathway, the clear and objective pathway is what we are proposing this evening. And the next few slides are going to detail what pieces of that are being put into place. Next slide, please. The first is vehicle parking. This is not number of parking spaces. This is the location of the parking on the lot and how lit it is. So you can't, if you're going through the clear and objective pathway, you can't put the parking between the building and the street. You need to tuck it to the side or behind. And if it's to the side, you can use a maximum of 50% of linear frontage. And this is to make sure that we have pedestrian friendly frontages and that you can easily identify where the entries are to the buildings. Let's see. Next slide, please. And speaking of that building entrance, there are some design standards to make sure that it is clear where the primary entrances are to the structures. So there are clear and objective standards, which I believe the mayor brought up. The language was not completely clear at the joint work session. So we did update that to make sure that we were meeting that clear and objective threshold. So now it's very specific of how you emphasize those building entrances and what can count for that. Next slide, please. The building facade and site design. So this is where We require a minimum 25% street facing walls have some sort of glazing. There's a distinct difference between the different layers of the building. We don't want to see large blank walls. They don't provide visual interest. They don't allow people to see out, natural light to infiltrate into the building. So we want to see a breakup of those large blank walls. Garage doors should be painted to match the color palettes. Carports and garages, just like parking, should be secondary to the buildings, located to the side or behind the primary structures. And then this bottom is the one change the Planning Commission made based on what was submitted to them, which there was previously some code language that if you were within a quarter mile of a public park, you could reduce your shared open space standard on the site by up to 50%. The Planning Commission decided they did not want to move that forward. So we have taken that language out, and the open space standards and shared open space on the site remain the same. Next slide, please. As far as the building materials and architectural elements, we did have a list of prohibited materials that you wouldn't want to see outright on the front or the sides, up to 35% of the sides of the building elevations. Again, if you were to use the discretionary review pathway, these materials are all available to you. So it's not a full exclusion of using these materials on any multifamily residential. It's saying if you want to utilize the clear and objective pathway, we don't want to see these materials as our primary front-facing materials. And then just related to sloped roofs, if the roof is sloped, the pitch shall be 312 or steeper. So flat roof still permitted, but where there's a slope, this is the minimum. Next, please. So that brings us to the land use review types. Currently in the city of Newberg, most multifamily housing is reviewed as a type 2 staff level review. It's reviewed by staff and a public notice is sent out to neighboring property owners. The only exception is where a conditional use is required, and those are processed as a type 3 planning commission decision. And during that, the public is given notice and the opportunity to come testify at a hearing. Next slide, please. With the proposed changes, we are looking to add some nuance to this. There are different levels of impact with different zones where multifamily housing would occur. So we are looking to add two circumstances where you could have a type 1 staff level decision where you wouldn't have public notice. And that's the C3 except along Hancock Street and the institutional zones. And again, those would be with the clear and objective standards being met. The type 2, this is what's already in place. You would still do R2, RP, R3, AR, and C4 zones with the clear and objective process. And in addition, the R3, C3, except along Hancock Street, AR and I, if you're using the discretionary standards. So you'd be able to go to the planning staff and with public notice, be able to get a staff level decision as you do today. And then what's new on the hearing end is in addition to those conditional uses that are still identified here, we would add the R2, RP, and C4. So some of those lower density zones to make them go through the discretionary review process with the Planning Commission so that the notice and the opportunity for neighbors and neighboring property owners to testify would be more pronounced there than it is even today. So those are the proposed changes to the land use review type. And I believe that is my last slide, and I will hand it over to Doug for the findings and recommendation.
Okay. So staff did an evaluation on the proposal against the statewide planning goals, and in your packet that identifies that it meets all of those. We went through a parallel process reviewing it against the Newberg comprehensive plan goals and policies, and our findings identified that this proposal complies. And then finally, we went through the Newberg Municipal Code. So this is a type 4 legislative hearing, as the mayor announced at the very beginning. Next slide. So on this one is council gets to make the final decision on the proposed amendment. So you have in front of you ordinance number 2023-2913. I'm sure that we have some public comments And I'm sure that the council has some feedback as well that they would like to provide. So we'll see what those adjustments may look like.
Thank you, Mr. Rux. Jim, are you here to speak on this matter today? Okay, so does anybody else have public comments that they wish to make? All right,
Mr. Mayor, we have not received any registration. We did receive one written public comment that was sent to you Friday in the supplemental packet. That was from Rob Halliburton of 1,000 Friends of Oregon in favor of adoption of this ordinance.
so does that need to be read in the record in the legislative?
No, sir.
Did everybody have the opportunity to read that? Okay. So that being said, public comment is closed, public testimony is closed. So recommendations from staff.
Staff recommendation is to adopt ordinance number 2023-2913.
Thank you. Rather than to start with a motion, let's discuss this and see who has an opinion at this point.
I don't have that presentation that you guys just showed, but why was the code changed from type 2 to type 1 in the first chart? You know, can you
Yes.
pull it up so we
Yep,
can?
the land use type review type. Yeah, it's because the industrial zone and the C3 zone, so your commercial zone where you're looking to get more multifamily residential development, the impact of those types of uses on surrounding neighbors is thought to be less than in, say, the R2 medium density zone. So the opportunity to provide public comment or to let the neighbors know that that's happening can be a bit disingenuous with a clear and objective process, because if they're meeting all of you're basically meeting a checkbox with a clear and objective process, and then you're saying to the neighbors, this is happening, but there's really nothing you can do to preclude it because they've met all of the criteria. So it doesn't give a genuine way for anyone to have notice. It's just saying it's happening basically at that point. So that's where the type 2 comes in, that if you are developing in those zones, there could be some impacts, there could be some uses where heights are different on neighboring properties. And it is reasonable to say, this is coming, you should know about it. Again, if you're using the clear and objective process, there's not a lot anyone can do to appeal this type of decision. And that's sort of the point of it, is to remove barriers to residential development. And then again, with the type 3, we had the opposite thought that these lower, if you could do the next to the proposed. So in the R2, RP, and C4 zones, there really could be some uses where having public testimony and a discretionary process makes sense, because then some conditions could be placed that would work to add continuity between these types of neighbors.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. And what would it hurt to leave it as type 2?
It gives the false sense to neighboring property owners that they have any say in whether it happens or not.
Seems like to me, leaving it as a type 2, it gives them the opportunity. So there isn't any false sense. If we take it and change it to a type 1, then there isn't any way to be able to object to it. So, I mean, I'm kind of like, I feel like if it's not broken, don't fix it. And so I'd like to we leave it the way it is.
So so we're basically deciding if it's discretionary or the clear and objective, right? That's what we're trying to decide. The clear and objective is to change it. Discretionary is to keep it.
May I respond? There's definitely a clear and objective option. So every residential development gets a clear and objective option. And so what we're saying is, if you can meet every single clear and objective standard, you can come in as a type 1 in C3, not along Hancock and I, and basically get your permit to develop your residential development.
Let me take
I think it helps me to think of the clear and objective as a fast track. And if you'll notice, the items that they have to meet are very low barrier items. I mean, they don't want them to use EIFS or T111 siding. Nobody would use T111 siding, and any builder can do without EIFS if he wants to. So this is just a faster way to give the city high density residential in areas that it wouldn't be allowed or may not be allowed because of the legislative requirement. There is no other code. For those of you who aren't builders, you might not know this, but our building codes are very, very complicated these days, and they get more and more complicated every time a new mandate comes down from the state. In the name of making it sound simpler, all they're doing is taking away the public right to vote. They wanted to remove parking. We said no to that, thank goodness. I don't understand the need for two separate codes side by side. Nobody's going to use, I mean, no developer is going to use the old one. They're going to go to the new one. So why don't we just rewrite the new code? And by the way, I've looked all over the code to find out what clear and objective standards mean by code, by law, and it's very vague. I mean, I don't know how they could say we're not complying with it because there is no definition of it that I can find any place in our statute code. And that, yeah, I guess that didn't sound like a question, but I really would like to have a response.
Sure. I'm just trying to go back to the beginning of your comments about, I think you're right to think of clear and objective as sort of a fast track. The idea of having clear and objective design standards for residential development is to reduce barriers, whether it's time or money or process to getting housing built. You have a housing needs analysis that shows a deficit, especially of multifamily housing. So this is a way to say, we hear that, we understand we need to provide housing at all income levels, at all accessibility levels. And so this is our way of doing that. And the state reviews those and says, yes, you're clear and objective, or no, you're not. We haven't fully had that review. That comes once you've made your amendment. The state has had notice and had the chance to review this. I don't think that we've received any comments from the state on the clear and objective status of this. But this is the way that other jurisdictions are writing clear and objective language that is being not adopted, but accepted by the state to do that. And the state did fund this project so that the city could update these code sections. I can't speak to building codes. I try really hard to stay out of building codes because, as you say, they are very complicated. I'm trying to think of, the low barrier. The items that are identified as basic site and building design criteria are meant to provide products that do look decent and provide a nice environment for either accessing the site as a resident or walking by or driving by as another member of the community. So they may seem like low barrier items, but they are important. They will change the way development occurs. If you don't have these basic items, you probably would get parking in the front of the building and have to cross that parking area to get from the sidewalk to your front door. If you decide to walk for groceries, you probably wouldn't get the levels defined in certain ways if someone is looking to cut corners on cost even more. So I think that I agree with you. They're not extensive requirements, but they are important requirements that will provide quality multifamily housing development, which is again an identified need in the city. Did I miss any of your points?
And I think, Mayor, I would just kind of add to Heather's comments is having two tracks. When I've done this before, working for other communities, of having that clear and objective path gives certainty to a developer to know what it is that they can build. This is sort of like go through and check the box. But then you get these projects that have interesting site topography issues, or they need to be creative, and this gives them the discretionary track. So they've got two ways. I mean, they can look at their site and say, can I do it under the clear and objective? And they may look at it and say, no, this site just doesn't really fit that. So what path do I need to go down? If you don't have a discretionary path, you have no path for them at all to be able to go down. You are correct, because I know you and I have communicated, when you read through the state statutes, do you find a clear definition of clear and objective? No. There's some interpretation, but Heather hit on this because I did reach out to DLCD last week to see if they had any comments on this proposal that was coming before you this evening. They were looking at it and they said if we had any comments, they would get them to me. By 5:45 this evening, I had no written comments from DLCD, which I take as they were okay with the clear and objective standards as they were being proposed.
Mayor, just one more comment. I remembered you saying too about housing types. After saying this is a fast track and reduction of standards, I think you mentioned being able to build multifamily where you couldn't today, and that is not in this proposal. You can only do this in zones where you can already do this today. There's no change to that in the proposed. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
I think that
So my question was, in the beginning of the proposal, it was talking about only having parking on 50% of the side of a building. Why not have it on all the side of the building so that we can make sure that we have plenty of parking if you've got people coming in to visit, people that are living in these facilities?
Thank you for that question. I should have been more clear. It's, if you're looking at the property, the building is located and then the parking can only take up 50% of the frontage. So the rest is building. You can go as far back as you want with parking. Yeah,
It's only along the front.
along the frontage. Yep. My
Okay.
apologies for not being more clear about that.
so, clear and objective standards required by the state. You guys have something, the state agrees that it's, or at least they haven't thrown up on it, so you're good.
Yeah.
The topic that I think got you the most discussion is taking the first line there from a type 2 to a type 1. So if, what I want to do is find out if I heard right. So in C3, which is our downtown area, except along Hancock, and I'm not sure why we always have to say that, but we always say that. And in institutional, the types of buildings that you have are very often similar to multifamily. They're larger buildings, they're taller buildings, like our downtown. They have residents upstairs already. So it's not a huge change in those areas. However, when you start doing multifamily in an R2 or an R3, it may be very different from what is there. So the question about why is it type 1, I took it as because it's already allowed in C3 except along Hancock and I. So even if you notice it and neighbors come in, they can't object to multifamily housing in those areas because that's already allowed. It's already okay. So having a hearing where they come in and say, I don't want another apartment building in my neighborhood, it feels like you're giving them a voice, but actually you've been on planning commission, you know, you got to vote for the law and the law says it's allowed, you can't vote against it. So that's the reason to go to type 1, because the type 2 is kind of an illusion in that area only. In the other areas where single family housing is normal and multifamily is not, there are lots of times where a hearing will uncover something which could make it better because the neighbor lives there and they know. But in type 1, you don't have that option. So to me, if to get this passed, we have to move that down to type 2, fine. It's a bit of a waste of time for the community and the staff. But if we get this passed, then we don't have to give back the 50 grand and we can have clear and objective standards and be in the Oregon law. But you need to know that it's not a true discussion when the community comes in to talk in that one case. That's all I think you were trying to say. And it's like, go ahead, move it to type 2. It doesn't hurt anything, except that it's kind of a, yeah.
Yeah, that being said, there's one more difference between a type 1 and a type 2 hearing. And that is in a type 1 hearing, nobody can appeal the decision except for the applicant. So if staff makes a mistake, as they did on a project on institutional land just recently, nobody in this room or in this city has the ability to say, hey, wait a minute, that was a mistake and it should be done. So there's value to having as a type 2 hearing.
That sounds good. Then the recommendation can be to change that, eliminate that exception for type 1.
Okay, this may back us way up. You had referenced in the documents, ORS 197-307 and 303. So I wanted to better understand this stuff. So I Googled it and I can't find anywhere in the needed housing. Oh, I'm sorry. The clear and objective standards, 0.307, where it says it is required. And beyond that, if Jim Talt's comments were 80% accurate last week about how much multifamily housing is going up, we don't even have a need that's not being met. So, just scratching my head. First of all, I'm not sure, I can't see where it's required.
197-307 subsection 4.
A local government may adopt and apply only clear and objective standards.
May adopt only.
Only.
Objective.
It's not an opt-in, it's may adopt only clear and objective standards.
The state could have written that better. I agree. And they could have defined clear and objective. I also agree.
Just to follow up though, you had a second point. Your second point was that we don't need more. I wasn't sure. I just wanted to make sure we didn't lose it.
What I was referencing were the comments from Jim Talt last week, where he cited lots and lots of planning and building going on that would actually far exceed the gap that is cited in the housing needs analysis.
So I think, council, that's two separate issues. And so here we're talking about the physical site design and the building design, not the number of units. We're not talking about where they go because the zoning already tells you where you can have multifamily housing of 5 units or more. And I don't disagree with Mr. Talt. From the time that we did the housing needs analysis, a point in time is that the economy has changed and landowners are looking differently and doing different things.
Are there any more comments?
Mike. So what if we adopt this, but we leave the type 2 as it is in our current code? And we have, we just go along with this and keep the type 2 where it's at?
Are you saying, Counselor, given this slide, to take the C3 and the I and move it into a type 2? So there's no type 1 process?
Yes.
I think that, for me, it makes that clear rather than saying, just
Right.
leave what we've got.
Right.
But is there any change? I guess I'll ask for clarification for the type 3. So, so if you'll go back one slide, what we have currently is only conditional uses as a type 3. So would you prefer to just not even touch the review types? Leave them as they are. This is what we know. This is what our citizens have come to understand is the process.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how we have it now, and that's, I think we just keep it the way it is.
Yeah, that is very simple.
So the other item that I believe maybe it's been changed, but this also allowed them to count parking spaces on the street as long as they were 22 foot long. Is that still the case?
That's currently in the code. When you do multifamily, if you are allowed on-street parking, you can count the length of that frontage. If there are parking spaces available, you can count those towards the site's required parking. We have not proposed any changes to the code for that.
So that's the code currently on both discretionary and the,
We only have discretionary in the
And the
code
fast
now,
track.
so yes.
Would apply to both, yes.
okay, anybody wanna, well, all right. James, help me out again. I'm learning. We have to have, waive a second reading, please.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, I was just going to ask, so as far as the actual language or the text of the ordinance being amended to bring the C3 into back into type 1. Go ahead, Mr. Rutschman.
What I would recommend, Mayor, is if you do a first reading and tell us what you've been discussing, we will then come back at your next meeting. We will make the changes to the staff report and to the code language to reflect what your first motion will be, and then you can do a second reading on your ordinance. And again, I would probably have it done now until, late Thursday night, because now I got two of them.
All right.
So I'm thinking that maybe council provides some direction through a motion to make those changes, and then we just bring it back, the ordinance back. Council can, if they find the ordinance, waive the second when it's brought back. But I want to be clear on the change, yes. Yeah, I want to be clear on the direction here, so I'll look to council to maybe make a motion about exactly the change you want so that staff can get it.
Okay, we would like to, yeah, I so moved. Does that work? We would like to make I'm making the motion to come back at the next meeting with the revisions as discussed. Is that good enough?
That council would be the revisions that reflect
There you
that
go.
the review type would be per the existing code as represented on the slide on the screen, because that's all part of the record.
Yes, so moved, please.
Which slide is this in?
Go for that.
This is slide number 11.
Okay, as reflected on slide 11.
Have a motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Well, I just want to make sure that we're not relaxing the type 2. Okay, all right, and I'd like to, is it keeping, or are we gonna, I don't want to relax any commercial or institutional. I want to leave that as a type 2 also.
So from this, you have this, what gets added in the far right column, which is on slide 12, is what's clear and objective and what's discretionary. And so Sue, if you go to the next slide. Where the type 1, the C3 and the I will move down and will be added to the type 2 under R2, RP, R3, AR, C4, C3, and I. There will be no type 1 review,
There you go.
but then you've got the column that tells you which category path that you can go down.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Eric, you in there? Yeah. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry. Once again, Doug, sorry. Thank you for your patience.
Mayor, I'm now gonna go sit in the peanut gallery in the back.
All right, I'm gonna call it audible. We are over the legislative session is closed. Back to new business. HC is the next motion we want to entertain since Dr. Phillips is sitting back there. I know this is what he wants to hear today. So we have a motion to transfer opioid funds to the Newberg School District to help combat the opioid epidemic. Is there any discussion?
So it might be too early, Dr. Phillips, to be able to maybe comment, but I was just curious, how are you going to use these funds to actually put something in practice? Sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm just curious.
And to be fair to Dr. Phillips, I could join him because I've got a list of things that we've already talked about, which. No, you didn't bring notes. Okay. He has far more education than I will ever have, even if I get the second master's degree. Okay, so we had talked a while ago about several things. We talked about figuring out ways to improve our SRO coverage, ways to make our schools safer. Dr. Phillips and administration team has worked closely with our police department. They're looking at grants that can help with some other security measures, cameras. But then after doing a bit of research, and actually it came from one of my academic papers that I was writing, I discovered that some other cities are using some of the opioid pass-through money to power their schools in many interesting ways that would help them deal with this crisis that is starting to emerge in our community. And so some of the things we looked at, providing funds that could potentially supply Narcan and training to go with it, teacher training connected to spotting opioid related warning signs for kids and also impacted caregivers, assisting SRO and school administration teams with the revenue to facilitate opioid response training, training materials and supplies, paying for modern training materials and trainers as may be required to help dissuade our kids from using illegal opioids and to protect their health and mental well-being. And the last one, and perhaps just as important, there would be the possibility, and I'm not second guessing this man, he is going to design what he's going to do with it because we're not going to micromanage him, will be to provide school medical staff with resources that they might need to help kids or caregivers in crisis who may personally be struggling with opioid addiction, who may have family members with addiction, who may need treatment assistance to help kids thrive in the schools. So it's all of those types of activities, which are all allowed activities under the opioid settlement.
So first of all, thanks for the invitation to talk a little bit tonight. The number one thing I am excited about is the idea of having another SRO, because our current SRO is great, but he has a hard time being proactive because he's one man. And I think to fight this, we need to be, instead of reactive, we need to be proactive. We need to get down into the elementaries, bring back the DARE program, other programs like that to really educate kids on the evil of the opioid epidemic. And the only way we can do that is with manpower. And manpower costs money. And so all these ideas are great, and they're not going to happen without more people. Our current SRO is wonderful, but we need to clone him and have more.
I don't see an amount on here. Is there an amount of money that we're giving, or does that? Okay, that's what.
Well, Mayor Ruzaker, it's 152,247, and that's the amount that we've received so far.
So would anybody like to make a motion?
Well. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the pass-through money from the opioid. I don't even have it in front of my, what is it called?
The National Opioid
National,
Settlement.
okay, National Opioid Settlement to Newberg School District to help combat the opioid epidemic.
Second.
Councilor Carmen, can we hear a second? Is he
I guess I'm giving a third. I thought I heard a second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the pass-through money to the school district. All in favor signify by saying yeah, aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. The motion passes unanimously.
Speaking as a former school media center librarian, thank you very kindly. And thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much.
We only hope that that's enough money to save some lives. So, let's take the other easy one first. This is gonna be item 8B, the resolution authorizing city manager to enter a construction management general contract with Sladen Construction for the pre-construction service of the groundwater treatment plant. Does anybody need discussion on this? We all pretty much know what we're doing, right?
Council, that's perfectly fine. I did want to introduce you to Tom Paul, who is with Sladen
Oh, okay.
Constructors, who will be project executive for this. I just wanted you to all see him because he will be in front of you multiple times over the next several years. So
All right, good.
Well, we all know that Sladen is a great company with a great reputation. We expect top-notch work for the very lowest price you can give us, so.
And again, council, I will tell you that Sladen was the unanimous choice of all 6 of the evaluators here at the city.
I'd like to make a motion. Okay. I move that we, let's see, adopt resolution 2023-3888 that authorizes our city manager to enter to a CMGC contract with Sladen Constructors for pre-construction services of the groundwater treatment plant.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we pass this resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, we have one more presentation, and that's the goals that we worked on a couple of months ago. Will, have you got a presentation for us?
Well, I did not bring a slide deck, but I do want to just cover a few basic items about this. So critically, on this one, staff offers no recommendation as such because this is a strategic matter for council alone to decide. After sufficient debate and deliberation, City Council may choose to repeal Resolution 2020-3641 and replace it with a new list of multi-year goals. However, the stage that we are at currently is we have a draft set of ideas that came from a previous work session. And so the role would be that council would now deliberate each of those line items in turn. And so I would certainly welcome such a deliberation.
Right. I don't feel like we should do that tonight with no one in the audience. And I feel like this should be like a first item on an agenda where we can make sure some of the public is here. I love you to death, but I think this is a big topic. Not that we aren't all in support, but I think it's a informing of the public opportunity as to what the direction this council's going.
You have a good point. Sue, can you tell us what the next meeting calendar looks like?
Yes, give me 2 minutes. And there are more chocolate Easter eggs, which I would beg you to eat. So
Hold
I do
on,
not
Katie, what do you need?
take them back.
What do you need from us? We could do that portion today if you need something.
For the council goals.
Yeah.
Ideally, I would have it before the budget training.
Oh.
And because some of the budget narrative that goes in the budget book is going to be based on council goals. And we want to make sure some of the items in the budget, we've hit council goals. So I was hoping to have those before I had to produce a budget document.
So is there a reason we can't just approve the council goals tonight and then come back and go line item, line by line item? I think we all participated in the council. No, we can't do that.
We can,
If we're gonna go line item by line item, though, I want to say like, I would want to spend a good amount of time on that.
So, Mr. Mayor, I've put on the screen before you your calendar as it stands now for April 17th. And let me see if I can blow it up just a little bit more.
I mean, thank you, Katie, for bringing that point up. That's one that I had forgotten about. In order to build many of the narrative sections, they classically are built around council goals.
Bel-Air will not be on there.
Okay,
And the housing production strategy won't be.
okay, so let me take this off. So, yeah, I'll move it tomorrow. Right now, I'm just playing with the screen. I'll play with the screen some more tomorrow. Okay. All right. So you've added 2 second readings, so. Now welcome to my world. This is the day after council. This is what Sue does. The day after council, Sue goes, okay, what do I have to reschedule? Or schedule? You're welcome. I used to work in newspapers, so you know, you haven't seen a story budget. This is nothing until you do a daily paper. So you've got historic preservation, affordable housing, and Miller Nash during work session. You've also said you want to add WADA. Is it WADA? We're talking about WADA. Water treatment plant discussion.
That will need to be in the business section. We'll have to take a look.
Okay.
Bring it up a second time.
So I don't know how critical you want these on the 17th. Those could move.
I could say that if city manager was okay, those could move to May.
Okay. So Miller Nash has rescheduled once and there's a team coming. So that would be Mr. Walker to comment on that.
So I do have a team of colleagues coming. That's intended to be a presentation to talk about the city's legal department and the matters, not litigation matters, but there's a more robust set of transactional matters. So we've got colleagues from construction, real estate, labor and employment. I'll be speaking, election. So I'd say all that to say it will take 45 minutes to an hour. But if we need to reschedule, obviously that's the will of council and we can.
I'm actually in favor of if council is so willing to keep that one in the meeting. Just because there's a lot of logistics that James has had to do to bring all the people together.
And I want to see other bigger guns than just James, you know?
One's not enough. Yeah. So.
ARPA project update, that was Will's item.
So we can put a second item.
I can put as many items as you want. I can also bring sleeping bags so we can.
I
just have a
also,
sleepover.
realistically, something else I think has to give if we're going to get through this stuff in that meeting. So do you want me to push the ARPA to the next meeting? Which Katie once again wanted me to get the ARPA briefing done before the budget meetings began to roll, but.
So here's May 1st. You have lots of room on May 1st. So lots of room to move all that stuff.
Are you okay, Katie, with ARPA May 1st? I bow to the fiscal authority. We can move the ARPA to May 1st.
So do you want to add council goals to April 17th? Then you can tell me you want to put it what I call top of the clock, which means 7 o'clock. You can move these consent, continued business, public hearing. Those are set out in council rules, but the mayor and city manager can move it around. They don't have to stay in that order. I don't have the authority to do that, but I do that if I'm told. So if you want to say, I want it for a time certain, like it used to be when we would have lots of ODOT people come, they would say, can we be at the very top of the meeting? So we can just come and be heard and be done. So if you want to have your discussion of your council goals at what I call top of the clock, which means 7 o'clock, then I just type it in there for you.
I just don't want to go any longer. I want to get it done. Yeah. So as long as we can do it by the next meeting, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I think I could make that work. If we got them done on that day, I think I could still work in some narrative information on the goals.
Katie, will it make it a lot easier if we just were to do this tonight? The goals?
Yeah, it would, but I could make this work too. That's not a problem if that's easier for council.
Okay, I guess I don't understand. Sorry. I know.
That's why I'm worried about that.
Mayor.
Yeah, Mike.
So I guess I don't understand why we'd have to go through and just read each and every one of them. Why can't we just adopt, these are new council goals and be done with it? And make it easier for Katie.
The reason that, the reason we need to go through them is because, as you remember, these were all of our individual ideas. We didn't have time to discuss each other's ideas. I
I
mean,
kind of thought we did at the time, but
yeah,
okay.
so. Yes,
I do. We didn't do it last meeting because at the very end, because we didn't have it on the agenda. It was on the agenda this time. It was published. The goals were there on the website. The fact that people chose to leave at 9:30, I mean, that's their choice. I don't feel uncomfortable doing this. And I do have things on some of them, individual line items I would recommend. They're not long or, or huge, but that's why I would like to look at it line by line.
how about a show of hands, who wants to, finish this tonight? Derek, which side are you on that?
I want to get it done so that the community knows what our goals
Okay.
are.
That's the majority, so let's get through this as quickly as we can. Will? Can I give you permission to move through this with the council?
Yes, so I mean, what we could do is we could look at each line item one at a time and have a little bit of space if there's any discussion or comments, and we can be ready to do some scribe work to capture any changes or new additions that may occur. So remembering that I'm in my 50s, I'll put my glasses back on. The first goal that was discussed as a suggestion was goal 1, create and maintain a high level of customer service. I guess I would say, if you would like to, Mayor Rosacker, see if there's a show of hands, if that general heading still resonates with people, is that okay? Okay. Aha, he's done it digitally. So that had a potential objective 1, improve customer service in planning and building departments.
I think it should be in all the time.
Okay, so there's a suggestion, Mayor Rosacker, on the table that instead it should be broadened to be in all departments. So I think that's a decision point. You might want to have further debate or call a vote at this time.
Does anybody feel passionate one way or the other about this?
I do. I just think it's important. I think it should be an improvement metric for everyone. And it feels a little strange to call it one specific department in our council goals unless we are ready to speak specifically about that to the community.
Yeah, I think it's fine to say all. The reason it went down that is the feedback you get. That's one of the most customer facing groups. So they get a lot of feedback. No, I'm just saying
Raise
that's
your hand
why.
if you want to make it all.
All.
All right, let's move on.
So might I, if I understand correctly, improve customer service in all departments? Okay, and then going to the next one. Objective 2, streamline the process for issuing building permits. Okay. Potential objective 3, create a team to involve engineering and planning in regular simultaneous review work. Objective 4, publish a customer service standard with a measurement system. There's Councillor Carmen's hand. Okay. Thank you kindly. So moving on to the general heading for goal 2, identify industrial land and attract employers to encourage family wage jobs. Does that resonate with folks? Objective 1, identify land other than the mill site to zone for light manufacturing.
It's already in there.
If you want to.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. No, I'm asking. I should have turned my light on. I think it would be helpful to identify land within the city limit to make that clear. I think that's what we talked about. Other than the
Could be
mill
in the
site.
urban reserve, it could be in the city limits.
There might,
We did discuss, and I do think it's a good idea to allow that we might find some land outside and want to try to bring it in as well. If that's, I don't want to eliminate the possibility. There's a lot of good industrial land on both sides of 219 south of town.
okay, thank you.
So, Councillor Kilberg, were you looking for a vote potentially on that item, or are you prepared to leave that by consensus as it is?
By consensus.
Okay,
Okay,
and so does that resonate with everybody?
show hands.
Thank you
Alright, we're
kindly.
good.
Then we have the potential objective 2, work to bring land into the urban growth boundary to zone for light manufacturing within 5 years.
It's good.
With the full knowledge, as has been provided, that is a very challenging goal.
Yeah.
That's a very short timeline and we all know it.
Yep.
But you have to shoot for the moon.
Yeah.
Okay. Potential objective 3, attract family wage jobs to Newberg using the urban renewal district and CET savings to be competitive.
Yep, we're good.
And then potential objective 4, remove barriers / deterrents to new clean light industrial employers that will provide family wage jobs.
We're all good. Oh,
No,
no,
I'm sorry. I think we could clean that up just briefly, remove barriers because it's barriers and deterrents are the same thing. And then take out the word clean because light industrial manufacturing is clean. So it just smooths it out.
I think it still needs.
You want clean in there still?
I'll get there.
Perhaps if we look at each of these one at a time. First of all, there was a suggestion there to look at the barriers and deterrents. Do you concur that we could lose? Okay,
Remove the barriers.
okay. And then on to the second one, clean light industrial or just light industrial?
Who wants clean?
Clean's fine. It doesn't hurt to have it in there.
Hey, what's Derek say?
Do you want dirty light industrial?
Oh, he said, okay, that's 4. Yeah, we're good. Clean.
Clean, okay. Moving on, the potential goal 3, ensure Newberg infrastructure, roads, water and city employees are in good repair and supply. And then objective 1, potential objective 1, should I say, sorry, regularly review the capital improvement projects. Okay. That would be for the strategic plan to lay forth, would it not?
Yep.
But I should conceive of that being at least annually.
But that,
Can we put annually instead of regularly?
For sure.
So one way you can do it is do all of them once a year annually, or you can spread them out throughout the year, so you're on a rolling thing. So just
Yeah.
regular allows you either option, whatever works.
Then we don't have to be at the end of the year and worry about deadlines. Oh my gosh, we forgot 2 of them.
Yeah.
it's still annually.
Yeah.
Right. But as long as it's regular and you're getting through all of them, that's what I
But it's
think
kind of
we-
like clear and objective. What does regular mean?
That's a good point. I would suggest that if it is the will of council, adding that extra word annually would not be a problem.
Okay,
Okay, is that good for all?
yep.
Okay.
So next is focus on road and sidewalk improvements in District 1 and 3. Is there, 1 and 3 is the downtown area, north and south, right? Are we using our, okay.
Seems to be unanimous despite not all of us living in those districts.
Be both south.
Okay, And then potential objective 3, examine the feasibility of increasing downtown parking, and some steps are actually already taking place in that direction.
Yep.
So,
That passes.
okay. And then are we comfortable with the potential goal of enhancing community safety?
Yes. Yep.
Potential objective 1 within that goal, work with the Newberg School District to provide an extra SR role.
Looks like we've already accomplished that.
Nice.
Well, only for 1 year.
Well done, Derek.
Okay, objective 2, potentially install red light and speed cameras and other speed reduction measures.
Yes.
I don't know what to do, so you don't think I'm voting. I thought we had talked about within 2 years. Did we decide not to,
On the.
when we were, install the red light, speed cameras and other speed reduction measures within 2 years? Did we decide drop the 2 years?
Again, yeah, why hamstring ourselves to a timeline?
Yeah, let's just get it done.
They've actually already got one of our
Do
reports,
you a no vote?
so it might happen sooner than 2 years.
All right.
It's a goal.
I'm okay. Yeah, if you want to put.
All right, you got it. This is gonna be close. We got 2 no's. What do you guys say?
Within 2 years. Yes.
Oh, I don't see Derek's hand up.
Okay, so was that, how many hands for within 2 years?
All right.
And Derek's voted.
Right, so that's a majority for sure. Hang on, within 2, now I'm really sweating because I'm dealing with ODOT, or rather engineering is. Okay, potential objective 3, continue with community policing partnerships.
Yep.
Moving along to see if the potential goal 5 still resonates. Create and maintain a high level of transparency with our residents in order to build trust.
Unanimous.
Potential objective 1, expand communication outreach in regards to regular city events and additional involvement with city businesses.
It says business, but add an S there, yes.
Roger that. Okay. Potential objective 2, ensure that information shared on agendas and in council meetings shall be clear and have context for the residents.
It's kind of the staff.
Okay.
I'd like to suggest the last one based on what happened tonight, and if you perfectly fine to say, no, shut up, let's go home.
Shut up, let's
Objective
go home.
3, not until you hear it.
Oh.
Then you can say it. Objective 3, ensure that council has time to review the information prior to requiring a vote. And I know this is because of transition of council, but it's very frustrating. So that would be a great goal. I would love that goal.
I think so too.
Could you restate that for the record?
Ensure that, and you guys edit this as you will, ensure that information shared on agendas is given to council in a work session as needed in a timely fashion so that decisions and education aren't happening at the same time.
Much more brief the first time.
I know. Make sure council has a chance to learn what
Okay,
is
so
in the
you
agenda.
outpaced my ability to write clearly at this time of night at so ensure that information shared on agendas is given to council in work sessions so that
Move that. Yeah.
I heard that education and decisions are not happening on the same evening.
On complex topics, right? There's some stuff we can learn about and say fine. But legislative stuff, yeah,
Legislative decision.
Or not, hang on, I'm gonna,
We've 6 times, yeah, okay.
uh,
I don't remember what I said at first, sorry.
let me read that back to you all. Ensure that information shared on agendas is given to council in work sessions so that education and decisions are not,
Do not occur.
do not occur on the same evenings for complex matters or legislative matters. Okay. For legislative matters. Okay, and so one more time from the top, just to be sure. Ensure that information shared on agendas is given to council in work sessions so that education and decisions do not occur on the same evenings for legislative matters.
It's actually really that we just want education to be given before a legislative decision is required.
Miss City Manager, I have an idea, maybe. It may be legislative policy decisions shall require a work session before
A vote.
a vote.
Move.
Trying to keep the words short.
Did you get read it back?
Doug, is this correct? Legal? Legislative policy decisions shall require a work session before a vote. Okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
I have this.
Thank you, Doug. And so that would become objective 3 of goal 5. If you are comfortable with that, are you comfortable with that? Okay. Okay. Goal 503, moving along. Okay, potential goal number 6. Implement a careful and prudent fiscal policy. Okay. Potential objective 1. Begin reducing and eventually eliminate the city's debt in a steady, prudent way without compromising the city's ability to provide basic essential services and functions.
I would suggest we take out the word basic because essential, I think, pretty much in that sentence.
Does that seem acceptable? Remove basic? Okay. Basic removed. Potential objective 2, reduce elements of the municipal billing statement.
But they might go somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's so fake for.
No, it isn't.
It is fake, because it's gonna go somewhere else. You have to pay for it somewhere else.
Yeah, the general fund is not regressive.
Okay, I'll give it, I'll get it, I'll vote for it.
Robin, was that a yes for you? Thank you. Okay. Potential objective 3 within this goal, the city will rationally lower SDC fees.
Well, I don't know.
Rationally is weird. What does that mean?
Reason.
Rationally
that
means that a scientific methodology would be utilized based upon factual information.
Okay, how about incrementally?
That's if you want.
Rationally, to me, it may be different than you. No,
Another word.
incrementally. It means over time.
the point of rationally was not to reduce them without understanding the impacts to being able to provide infrastructure. That was the thing. You can come in and slash it and then find yourself with a water bill the size of Manhattan, right? So rationally doing it means.
So rationally as defined by the work group.
Yeah, or prudently if you like that better.
Okay, I like that better. That's fine.
Prudence over rationality.
I was wondering if we should add in compliance with state law. In compliance with state law, to be sure we do that.
Well, everything we do.
Okay.
So we
did sort of try that last week.
have on the table, the city will prudently lower SDC fees. Okay. Potential objective 4, ensure that the city has a long-term financial plan that supports its goals and objectives, and I'm glad we've hired Jen. Okay. And then possible goal 7, if it still resonates with folks, increase land availability for housing. Potential objective 1 within that, seek to rezone small pieces of land inside the city limits from light industrial to residential, if possible.
Yeah, could we use the word explore? Because somebody explained to me that some of that industrial can't be moved to residential because it's contaminated and stuff. So if we explore it, or is that part of seeking? That's fine if it is. Okay.
Seeking,
I had someone bring up too, just like concern that this conflicts with 2 and 3 a little bit, like. Is it 2 and 3? Like, because we're basically trying to say that we're trying to get every piece of land correctly zoned, but without.
there was some debate, I believe, on the work session about the possible conflict between, I'm not sure.
So, I mean, basically, you're talking about industrial land. Primarily, what this is on goal number 7 is to take the light industrial that's not buildable and changing it to residential that can be done with it. I mean, you've got owners that are sitting there with a dead horse, so to speak. They can't do anything with it. So by changing it to residential, you increase the homes that can be built, increase the inventory. It should, in theory, lower some prices.
So small,
They're unbuilt.
unbuildable.
Yeah, they're unbuildable. You can't build anything on them.
Mike's been at this.
And we're seeking. Okay. Peggy, okay with you? Okay. All right, and then potential objective 2 for goal 7, work to bring land into the urban growth boundary to zone for residential purposes within 5 years. And once again, this extremely ambitious 5-year concept. Okay. And then potential objective 3 of goal 7, look at annexation opportunities. Okay. Okay, so that concludes going through the line items, and therefore we could certainly look for a motion towards this resolution as amended by those changes. If someone has the brain power to come up with the wording.
I'll take a stab at it. I move that we adopt resolution number 2023-3891 with the amendments that we just spoke about to repeal resolution 2020-3641.
Second.
Been moved in second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That being said, I think we're adjourned.